Yeah, hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 795. Hopefully, you guys have had a great day. I've had a pretty good day myself.
Yeah,
Looking
yeah,
looking forward to this. Talking cannabis from around the world. Ja, how you want to tell us how you're doing?
yeah. I'm doing all right, man. Just on a road trip right here. Just traveling around the states, just now getting melted in stone. Just having a good time.
Right on. Hopefully, you've had some fun while you're in the States, smoked some good cannabis.
Yeah, yeah. Smoked some Giotto. Well, it's quite nice. And smoking some, was it peanut butter breath or something?
Peanut butter bread, yeah.
Yeah.
And you had some kosher OG.
Some blue cookies.
Blue cookies.
Yeah. Probably a good smoke, like, yeah. Nice dry, dense buds. Can't complain, like.
That's nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad you're having fun and enjoying some good cannabis so far here in the States. Well, we might as well start this off like we always do, where your cannabis journey began. When was the first time you used cannabis?
Probably when I was a kid. Started smoking. Probably when I was a kid, started smoking when I was very young. Probably too young to be smoking, But that's just what happens when you're a kid.
Right on. Yeah, we all kind of start pretty young here, I think, as well. Do you remember how you got it or what you got?
I can't really remember like the first time, but I can remember like the first few couple of times and stuff like that. It's just when I was a kid and stuff like that, just with like my friends and stuff like that. And my sister and stuff like that, just getting stoned and stuff like that. It's just like like average bits of weed we kick about and wee bits of hash and stuff like that probably be there. And then there'd be like sometimes home clones and stuff like that would come down off like older people and that, and it'd be very hard to get. And you don't really get a wee bit. You have to get one of your mates to go and get. But then just like the scene started to explode, and after about 5 years, there started to be like a lot more homegrown crops and stuff like that was happening, and that shitty hash and stuff like that just sort of disappeared. It was just like just tidy green, just called it tidy, and that's just what it's just like, just getting stoned pretty much every day since I was a kid. What about yourself?
I started pretty early myself. I started with flower, probably around 9. You really
was
young.
probably about 12, I think 12, 13. Maybe 14, I'm not really too sure, maybe 13, 14.
How hard was it at that point to actually get your hands on some?
Yeah, probably wasn't really that hard, to be honest. Like, it was quite hard, but like it was quite easy at the same time. But the sort of quality or sort of stuff you would get when you were a kid, and like you had to be careful and who you went to and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like you sort of like somebody you knew sort of thing, and you knew the person who was actually selling it. Then after like maybe like a couple of years, you would actually be going to like the dealers yourself.
I guess what kind of quality was out there at that point?
The soap bar, the rasta weed.
Mostly like sort of soap bar sort of stuff, like shite hash would always be there. Like that was just always there, just like shite hash. And then we would just go like soap bar, and it'd be like dead cheap. So like then you could get it quite easily and stuff like that. Would be like better quality of hash I would be kicking about sometimes as well. But it'd be a bit more expensive. Sometimes like the same price and just didn't really know. And you'd be obviously like shitty green, what we'd be kicking about quite a lot. There was always loads of shit green, just like standard green, what would be there. That it'd be like wet and crap. Yeah. stems in it and shit, you know. So like, and that would be like the other option sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then there'd be sometimes like homegrown crops that would come down and stuff like that, like Jack Hellers, stuff like Widows, stuff like that would come down, cheeses, AKs, stuff like that, AK-47s, sometimes silver hazes and stuff like that, lemon hazes. That stuff would be like a treat, kind of be there every blue moon sort of thing, and there kind of be a mad scramble to get it. Or like one person would know somebody had a crop that would come down, and it'd just be there for like maybe a week or two, and then, you know, it just progress from then. You know what I mean? From being just like
Go back to
just
being
got
nowhere again.
wild days for a bit after that. Like then all that shit he has just disappeared, and all the shit he green would just disappear. It'd still be there, but it's more tidy stuff would come out. Because then it just exploded. All that shit stuff just went away. Better crops just came about, you know. But still that sort of stuff would kick about here and there, like, you know. But not as much as what it used to be like when we were kids, because that's just all that you could get. But I think now, since it's been a lot easier in more countries, it's like legalizing it, more seeds and more companies from different countries and all that are producing it and shipping it into different countries and stuff like that. So the quality just becomes better, you know. Higher standards, you know.
What was the initial draw for cannabis for you? What made you kind of be returned to it after that first time?
It's probably because of like childhood trauma, to be honest. It's probably the main reason of like my drugs abuse, you know. That's probably the reason why I smoked so much weed when I was a kid, you know. And it's just been like natural, you know. Instead of like drinking, because if you start drinking and stuff like that, you probably end up into trouble and stuff like that, you know. So like, just used to just smoke weed and just chill out, you know, with your friends instead of going out everything all the time, you know. And you don't really get hung over all that. And you can smoke weed every day, and you can wake up in the morning, you're not hungover. You might have a stone over, can't be spinning out your bed is normal, but you know, it's like being sick in the morning. You know what I mean? You don't feel sick. You don't feel hungover. It's probably the main reason why I smoke so much weed, and it just relaxes me, puts me into a nice place, makes me feel a bit happier, puts me to sleep. I need to go to sleep, you know. Yeah, just chills me out. What about yourself?
I smoke for a variety of reasons. These days, I'd like to say that it's more of a medical reasons. Much like yourself, I do find a lot of relief from anxiety, but more or less it is from body pains and aches and stuff like that that I still use cannabis for. Helps me loosen up before I on that ride to work, ease some pains that have developed over the years. But again,
That ride to work's a difficult one sometimes, like, you know.
It's definitely
in your work
recreational.
sometimes you start thinking about some stuff, like, you know. You ever felt that way?
Oh yeah. What do you got in that cannon? What you got there?
What's in this?
That's just my peanut butter break.
Peanut butter breath.
Yeah.
Got so much selection, sometimes you don't know what you're smoking, you know. Just smoke it. Just happy that you got a spliff. Don't ask 2 questions, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a good thing. I'm trying to roll mine up as we speak.
What are you smoking on?
Some Kim Song. Guy from one of the people that watched the show was nice enough to give me a sample of a strain that he bred out, and
Right.
pretty good.
What's it called again? Kelsom, did you say?
Yeah, he's Kim Song, and he has a Kim Frog as well.
Right.
Both are pretty good.
I think that's Chem Dog crosses.
Yeah, probably, like.
So
Yeah, that's true.
what has been some of the best cannabis or hashes you've had over there?
Over where? In America today? Or in my lifetime, are you talking about?
Yeah, and the whole time. Not
What,
necessarily here.
It's like Scotland.
well, like in Scotland, there's like I met a few guys that sold hash here and there. There's like I had like this black stuff, like Jamaican black, and you go into like these like sausages and stuff like that. That used to kick a bit sometimes, and that used to be there, and that'd be quite a nice high, like a nice body high. And I've had like kind of like that Indian stuff, kind of it's like proper black chalice stuff, and like kind of real stickly and oily and all that, and there's been other bits like sandy pollen sort of stuff, like white, light green stuff, light yellow stuff, and that used to be like pollen and that used to be quite good. But sometimes you get like real stone off it, be like sort of a sore head sort of sometimes. Again, if it fucked up a bit, I don't know. But I've been also to Morocco and smoked hash in Morocco as well. And it's a lot different than the hash what you get over here. It's good, but I think it's a lot better, the stuff you can get over there. A lot of like real uplifting high you would feel off it, and it'd be dead fresh and it'd be nice and sticky and stuff like that. Just really like flavourful. Because by the time it gets to like other countries and it's sitting about for ages and goes to where it's the destinations from, even the climate can change it and affect it and stuff like that. They're saying. So like if you really like your hash and that, maybe go to like India or Morocco or something like that and try it over there and see what it's like. Just like honestly, you just pull it apart and stuff like that with your fingers half the time. Like it's quite nippy to work with, but it's like sort of a nice high into like your body zones if you.
Right on. That'd be an awesome experience heading to Morocco there to have some.
Oh mate,
straight from
so you got a shisha bong in that as well. You just sitting there with like a shisha bong. You know what I mean? And it's just like something totally different, and it works perfect in that compared to a normal bong. Kind of like long sticky bongs, it just doesn't like have the right temperature or whatever it is. It just works perfectly. It just works a lot better for it. Like, but what about the hash you smoke?
I haven't traveled as far as you have, just enough here in the States, but I've smoked a variety of hash. I make a lot of my own hash. I prefer the water method versus the dry screens, dry sifting anyways, but
I've tried that myself, like with the wee shaker hang. we wouldn't shaker hang. So we're talking about the wee sieve with the leaves. Or do you put it in the big bucket hang and just like bang the bucket?
No. I kind of put it over a screen and then I'll kind of crumble the material up and give it a light little shake and then crumble a little shake.
Yeah.
Try to be as gentle as possible.
I tried to do that myself, but like that shaky hang, and it just goes on for ages, But if you dry the leaves right and all that, and you can get quite a lot of crystals off it, and I was just putting into VJs and stuff like that, but I think you can know that you've made that ice hash. Can you get the bags, you put in the buckets, and you stick all the stuff in with the ice?
Yeah.
I've had some of that stuff back home, like, Again, if it's done properly and all that, again, it's pretty good stuff, like, but it's only like that yellow sort of stuff, like yellow hash sort of thing, and just break off a teeny wee bit. But I think you have to use such much material and all that, it's not really worth it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely I like the full melt. I'm pretty clean when I wash my hash. I try to get out any plant material out of it. What about rosin? Have you guys had the rosin wave over there?
What the rosin, like the isolator and stuff like that?
rosin's basically when they heat it up, either the flour or the hash, and press it.
The dab stuff.
Yeah.
We lost that.
The thought of that's pretty shite back home. I used to know somebody that used to do it, but he's like getting into trouble with the police and stuff like that, so he can't do it anymore. So like the quality is just rubbish, and the tolerances levels on that, you can just go through the roof once you start smoking that stuff, you know. Then you have to just smoke that stuff constantly to get stoned. Then before you know it, like your tolerances are way crazy high. You can't get stoned off a joint and stuff like that, you know. So I just stay away from that. I just smoke flower, like, hey, bud, you just got bud back from me. So I just stick to the bud. I don't touch any of that dabbing stuff, like,
I can understand that. I mean, when it first come around, the craze kind of started here in the States.
aye.
I tried it a few
You call
times.
it wax in that. You call it wax. Some of it wax in that.
Earwax is what we called it back when I was first introduced to it there. And it was a good high. Back then we were kind of heating up the glass rod and using an oil pipe. But once more people, the rigs started coming around and the torches came out, it really got that like hard drug kind of feel to it. And I think it deterred a lot of people from trying dabs, myself included, in the beginning, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Like, the tolerances just go up so far with that stuff, and then you get by a bit of weed, and you can't get in the dabby stuff. And the guys ran out. You want to get a bag of weed to get stoned. You can't get a bag of weed and smoke it. You can't get stoned, and you're thinking to yourself, like, can I want to get stoned here? Like, what else can I do to get stoned? You know? So like, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a slip to the road to go down with that sort of stuff, because before you know it, like, Ken, I want to get stoned, eh? You can't get into dabby stuff, Ken, if it's not legalized in your country, eh? So then people might think about start taking tablets, start popping a few tablets, you know. Then, you know, it's just a slip to the road. So I just stick to the bud, and it's just natural, and it's easy to get. Your tolerances don't go too far up, and you know what you're smoking as well, because some of it, if it's not being processed right and you're making that dabby stuff, and you can leave all that alcohol in it and stuff like that, then you're smoking that shit as well, you know what I mean? I think that all that oil and all that's made stick to your lungs and all that too. So like, you know, some of the wax and shatter and all that just smell beautiful and all that, and it's like greeny pressed to it and all that. But I'll just stick to the flower, like, yeah, that's my advice, like, yeah, Ken. I had some like isolator hash and stuff like that as well. That's like quite good as well. It's quite expensive when I was in Spain. They're selling it over there, and they've got all this sort of different hash and stuff like that. And there was some hash there, some like sticky black hash. But it's like lovely and all that. It would get you melted and all that. And it's a wee bit like an isolator hash sort of thing, but more it's like the bubble water ice cube form sort of thing. And you just put a wee crumb on top of your joint, or a wee crumb on top of your ball. It'll just give you that extra wee dump to the back of your head, you know. That's here, get you melted, you know.
I can agree. I can agree with that. You know, for me, a pressed sift, or you know, a bubble water hash there is good enough for me. 100%. I can understand, and I guess I think that's one of the things I guess we take for granted with it being quasi legal here in the States, that it could be, I guess, as you've kind of pointed out, a gateway. You know, if you can't necessarily continue to get it legally, like dabs and stuff like that, I could see it being like kind of a gateway drug to kind of replace that up high of the dab.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me. So I bought like a gram off my pal, of that dabby stuff, and I was getting very melted and all that, and I ended up just smoking that, using that and smoking the flower, the bud. Then I was like, then I got another bit. Then I thinking to myself like, oh, again, I'm just going to have to keep on buying this as well and bud as well. And I just need to come off that and just stay on the flower, the bud, because then you're just like smoking a joint sometimes and you don't even really feel stoned off it and all that, because you're that used off the dabby stuff. It's got your tolerances so far up. And if you kind of get stoned off a big fat joint, then you're like, yeah, you need to start cutting your stuff back down a wee bit,
Right on. I agree with that. I've always kind of found it a little bit weird, or we're backwards that you guys
quite
had
rough on your
hash.
throat as well. I think it hits the back of your throat a bit too hard, that like waxy dabby stuff. Shut up. Like whenever you'd hit in the bong, it'd just be like it would hit the back of your throat. Like in flower, you can still inhale it as well, And I just think it's a bit too harsh on the throat as well, like when you smoke it sometimes.
I definitely agree with that. I feel the effects 100%. Just a few weeks ago, I kind of went on a lull with the flower there and kind of made up with dabs, you know what I mean, or some extracts like that. And I could feel that shit every time I got on the treadmill. I could feel like a real heaviness in my lungs. And I can't imagine what people's lungs will look like in a few years after heavy dabbing. For me, I kind of noticed that from the dab rig itself, when you were the shit that built up on the edges of the pipe was close to plastic. You know what I mean?
Well, when you're cleaning out your downpipe on a bong and it's not been cleaned out for a while, and you see all the oils and the black stuff and all that, you start thinking to yourself like, what's like your insides are going to be like that as well, you know what I mean?
Buddy, please. Yeah, I've always thought it a little kind of weird that we were so backwards here in the States with starting more towards the flower, and now we're pushing towards more of the extracts and the hash. And you guys had hash first and kind of went towards the flower.
I think it was just what was just kicking about. It's just I think a lot of the old time smokers were just smoking hash and stuff like that, and it was just normal. And again, because of the climate in Scotland and stuff like that, there's no much outdoor stuff that happens here. And if it did, then the police would just shut it down, But I think some people do it, but it's just because of the weather, we don't really get enough sun. But I've heard about people doing it in more down in England and stuff like that. But I think it just wouldn't just. It's just so small and so compacted. It's not like America where it's spread out a bit. There's a lot of land for people to hide about and stuff like that. There's not a lot of land to hide about, but if it's not getting every bit's getting used, it's for farmland or something that might be forest and stuff like that here and there. But that's all like nature reserves and stuff like all that. So there's always like wardens and stuff and all that about these places and stuff like that. You go there camping and stuff like that. It's like tidy up your mess and stuff like that, And so I just wouldn't really happen back home, like what happens in other countries and stuff like that. And it's like a lot of land open there, so you can just do whatever you want there, right? Because nobody really owns it.
So what is like the penalties like over there? Are they coming more towards legalization or any kind of medical cannabis, anything over there?
Well, there's something that's just started apparently, and when it became, we said they were going to make it legal, then they came out with CBD stuff. So they legalized CBD chemical. So it's like, you can get CBD stuff. CBD weed and stuff like that, but not the THC content. So that happened about 2-3 years ago. So they were allowed to grow plants what were just CBD plants, and to help to provide for the CBD oil will help stop like cancer and stuff like that. Like the Simpson oil and stuff, all that sort of stuff. So
what are your thoughts on like the breakdown of the plant like that? I mean, it blows me away that sorry about that. What are your thoughts on the way they break down cannabis like that? Into molecules, and are trying to label how this part of it's legal and this part of it ain't.
Like a chemical engineer sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself, like in the biology and the chemistry and stuff like that. I should have really stuck into that a bit more when I was in the school. But they wouldn't let me into university or stuff like that, and I would have to go to college to try and do stuff like that. And I thought about it myself, like, but they would never let me to do anything like that. Like, but I would have to do my own studies and stuff like that. But it's quite amazing how there's so many different chemicals and phenotypes, and how one's totally different and stuff like that. The different chemical balances, THC levels, and the CBD levels, and all these other probably levels we've got. You know, it's quite amazing. You get sativa and indica and stuff like that as well. How like it's like you think it'd just be one or the other, you know, and how it changes with each plant, and how the plant just constantly is evolving. You know, it's almost like it's evolving itself, or are we helping it evolve? You know.
That's a good question, really. If it's, we are playing a big part in it, I think, as far as like selection, but it is a very adaptable plant. Even I think we're starting to realize that making a mistake and trying to breaking it down into indica sativa, because as you're saying, you can take those sativa seeds and grow it in a northern geographic area, and you 100% will bring out the indica traits in that so-called sativa to adapt in your area. So you're right. Is it changing itself? Or are we kind of how big of a hand do we actually have in that?
Yeah. So that's what I was sort of wondering, like, is nature evolving itself? Can like sometimes like even like different cuttings are like can produce a different plant, you know what I mean? It's done in the same location, it turns out a wee bit different. It's just like this seems a bit weird sometimes, you know, like is it evolving itself? Yeah, when it evolve, crossing with different plants and becoming new strains and stuff like that. Then the different phenotypes and that what comes off it, sometimes they're like all different and that, even like sometimes it's like light green and dark green, and some of them go big and some of them go small. Why does it happen like that? Why are some of them turning lighter and darker? Because they might be the same strain, Is it doing it by itself to try and make it a wee bit different each time? Or is it like why, Don't know if it's like kids, or like two kids are never the same, Not really too sure.
Is there an availability like that over there? I remember here in the States, if I were to go to my dealer, pre-legalization and been like, yeah, I need some sativa. What do you got? He'd be like, I got this.
Like in back home, a lot of people prefer the indica stuff rather than the sativa stuff. That's more popular because I think it's better weed because it's stronger. But some people like realize like there's different types of weed like sativa and indica. But I just always hazy or sativa, or what I mean, kicking about, and there's always nice indica kicking about back home nowadays. Like it's became a lot better the last sort of like 5-10 years sort of thing. legalized in Holland and stuff like that, and America and Spain and Thailand and Canada and stuff like that, and the CBD thing that started back home and all that. So like that was like the sort of start of it, and I think there's like new medical cards that's out nowadays and stuff like that, what people are applying for and stuff like that. So I think it's coming in slowly but surely, and that's just what's going to happen. But at the meantime, it's sort of like acceptable and all that. It's not really as frowned upon as it was, but there's sort of odd wee cafes here and there that might not mind you getting stoned there and stuff like that. Or pubs you can go and smoke joints and stuff like that and come back inside and that and don't mind and stuff like that. But I think you still get fined if you get caught with a lot. I think small amounts nowadays is not really a problem. But if it was bigger amounts and stuff on that, I think it's different. But it was just like if you just had like 2-3 gram on you, you got caught by the police, I don't think it'll be like that bothered about you. But if you got caught with like a lot more, then it'd be a problem sort of thing, you know.
Where do you fall on the indica sativa thing? Which one do you prefer?
I prefer like an indica stone, but like a light green bud sometimes, but it's like quite uplifting, but it's like quite a heavy stone. Then like a groggy stone. It depends on what mood I'm in. And if I'm wanting to like get stoned and like do stuff and stuff like that, I like that sort of stone. But if I'm just want to like chill after a hard day's work or want to go to my bed, I feel like a real heavy indica stone, like a cheesy sort of stone. So you just get really melted stone and just like fall asleep. Mostly indica. I don't like that fond of sativa stuff. I used to like smoking it during the day sometimes and all that, but it's not really for me. It's more the heavy indica stones. Like, what about yourself?
I kind of prefer the sativa myself. It clears my mind. The sativa does kind of allows me to think a little bit more clearly and artistic, I think, more creatively, I guess it would be a better word. So I kind of fall on the sativa side, but the indica side is where I think the medical value lies with me. It's one of those things that do I want to ail the body, or do I want to set the mind free, kind of thing. So I enjoy both, but I prefer a good sativa. So you prefer
juices here?
Pardon me?
You get these cannabis juices here.
What are they?
Juice. It's like
weed
I don't know.
Juice?
I've got charged like $10 for like a juice. It's sort of like THC in it apparently.
I'm
and
sure
like,
that
I had one like yesterday, but I didn't really feel much. So it was a blueberry one. I got this one today. Pomegranate thing.
Nice.
Do you try much of them yourself?
I've had a bunch of good edibles, to be honest with you. As far as I've had like tacos, meatballs, the lady that we know here in Clio, she makes some amazing stuff. And at one point, man, one of her meatballs put me out. She actually had some pickles too, Carla. The pickles were like, they hit unbelievably fast. I've had a good kombucha that was amazing, but we will put cannabis in anything here in Michigan.
Yeah, some of the sweetie ones, I should be trying some of the sweetie ones. I might go to a dispensary and grab some of the gummy sweetie ones. My mate gave me some back home, and they were quite tasty, and they said they came from America. But people have been trying to make them back home and stuff like that as well. But we normally just have like edibles sometimes, like brownies and all that. Sometimes people make brownies or cookies and stuff like that. I've done a few bits myself with butter, like melting it down into butter and coconut oil and just putting it into chocolate and just whatever like you eat. Ken, just whatever you want. Put a bit of butter or coconut oil on top of it, and it's pretty good, like. But you have to be careful, because sometimes, like, Ken, if you put too much, it hits you hard sometimes, like, and lying down for a few hours, like, just chilling, listening to some music, make plans with your mates and stuff like that. That's just right out the window, like,
I definitely enjoy the edibles 100%. There's nothing wrong with a good lay around.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, when I was in Morocco, when I was leaving Morocco, like, it was quite hard to get bits here and there. So when I did or seen anything, I would grab it. But I was like, and I would smoke it and that. But I was with my mum at the same time, so I couldn't smoke it all. Again, when I was going home, and I had a few bits left, so I just ate it before I went on the plane. And like, again, like, it hit me hard, like, like when I was on the plane, like, I was like buckled on this plane, like, and like the moon was on one side and the sun was on the other side and all that. And I was like to my mum, like, look at the moon and that, look at the moon. And she was like, Ken, it's just the moon, Ken? You know. And I got caught with skins as well at the airport as well, and like I whipped up fag pack and stuff like that, Ken? You know, like used for like ropes and stuff like that, And like, Ken, the security guard was going mental. He's like, what's this and that? What's this and that? Oh, there must be something in here and all that, And like, again, he's raking through it and all that, Like, Ken saying there's just skins in it. It's like, well, why do you use these big skins in that, You know? And my mum's just like staring at me, looking at me like, Ken, like, embarrassed and all that, Like, and didn't even want to go on holiday with me. I tried to get him to go to Holland, but again, I'll just go there to get stoned, So I had to chuck on the roads to Morocco, because I kind of probably get a bit of hash over there and stuff like that, And my mum was just petrified at the customs and all that, thinking we were going to like get chuckled away and be like put in a jail cell and stuff like that, You ever had any moments like that going through customs or that, like awkward situations?
I've definitely had some awkward situations with cannabis, 100%. From just going into stores and realizing that I have smoked too much, to traveling with it, to being pulled over. I think that's one of my favorite ones is actually here in the States. Well, we had, well, I'm sure everywhere, those cans where you could spin the lid off of and hide things in the center of. And one day I got pulled over the day after 4th of July, and officers searching the truck, and as he's pulling out multiple cans of alcohol, he's already dumped out a fifth, and he set some cans off to the side, and he literally has my stash can in his hand as he's shaking it, telling me, you know why I can't make you dump this out? Because this is unopened. And he sets it right on top of my truck. And I literally went, after at that point, I was like, yeah, tear that thing apart, man. Everything's in the can. Yeah. But
I had moments myself like that, to be honest, like, I used to have a wee scooter and all that, And the police like pounced on me one time in that, and I had that in one of the wee can hangs and that too, Ken, and he picked up and all that, in my back pocket and all that, It's just like, it's just a can of juice. I think it was in my bag and all that. It's like, it's just a can of juice, and he just put it down. And it happened like a couple of weeks later too, or a few weeks later too. But that's that first time they really grabbed me for ages and all that, And you know what they're like, Ken. But one time I was up the town and the same thing had happened and that, and I got into trouble, and like I had to go to court and stuff like that. Then I came out of court and I still had like my wee Ken hanger I had there, and they never found it. So I went from like police station to a court cell. a court cell. Returned to me. That was quite funny, and like the police officers were quite pissed off about that, because obviously they found out like through word of mouth. And I think that was ecstasy. I had like, you know, like very good Dutch pills, like some of the best like we ever had. Just when like you start like getting into like our drugs and that too. These were like Dutch pills, we were called, and like they were just phenomenal pills. We were all like very happy, like never got their hands on them because they were like such hard to get our hands on. And you could only get like maybe like a few of them, eh? You can like get like loads of them, eh? So like we were like cheese and like they never got them, eh? You ever took an ecstasy or that?
Actually, I have not. No, I've experimented with other drugs, to be honest with you, but never ecstasy. I've never tried ecstasy.
Yeah, I've not had any of that in a while. Like it's just mainly weed nowadays. Like
definitely have had my share with a few others. So these days, just cannabis and some psychedelics, mainly mushrooms, occasional paper.
yeah, I like mushrooms too. Like mushrooms.
Yeah.
Got someone that was in New York. Like
Nothing wrong with that. That's another kind of thing that we're discovering, you know, that it isn't just a drug, that it has a lot of municipal value to it.
Yeah. They're thinking about like all this sort of benefits what these drugs are having and for people and that. Even trying to say like mushrooms are good for like depression and stuff like that, and MDMA and ketamine and all this sort of stuff. And I think there's something over in like South Africa and all that. There's something over there and all that. They're saying all this sort of rituals and stuff like that, and then taking all these psychedelics and smoking weed and all that. It's helping people's bodies and like helping them with stress and anxiety and stuff like that. And some of these do, and some of them probably might cause some problems, but you know.
I definitely agree with it. You know, I found a lot of calmness in taking psychedelics as of late. You know, it's been more frequent lately in the last few years than in, you know, when I was young. I definitely went through a good phase of taking acid there, and enjoyed it more on a recreational level. But in some way, I knew that when I took it, I kind of found center. And as I go out older, as like the frequency faded, I always kind of told myself I need to do it once a year at least to kind of recenter myself, you know, and, you know, kind of find a little bit of clarity. And I still swear to that to this day, that, you know, you should try to recenter or shake off the year, you know what I mean, and focus at some point.
Yeah, I enjoy a good trip myself, like but you cannot, like, you know, you can't be tripping every day of the week, you know, like once a blue moon, all that's fine, like, you know.
On a tougher level like that, microdosing for sure. I definitely indulged on a microdose before this evening show, but not enough to feel, just enough to clear. That's for sure.
How long you been microdosing for?
Quite some time. I think it really came like in full effect like 4 years ago, 4 years ago to be exact. I actually uh, had a daughter whose boyfriend was cultivating philosopher's stones, and he would come up and gift me some every time he kind of come up. And so I was started to kind of take him a little bit here and there. And then I had a weird experience with like a hero dose is basically what you'd call it. I was used to consuming the wet mushrooms for stones, and then he came up with a dry batch. And
But stones?
they never flower. So basically they're a truffle, more or
Right.
less. So he would bring them up wet, and then he had brought them up a dry batch, and I didn't do the math or whatever. I just threw them down and did what I was taking wet, and it was oof. It was a life-changing experience. It was brutal and long, but at the end of it, I was
Felt
grateful
good.
for everything. I found a lot of clarity in it. And then from there, it became more and more frequent. And the more I
You can
talked to
have
other
some
people.
inspirational moments when you're tripping, like reborn moments, feeling like you've just had clarity or had a new vision or something like that. You can see things from a different angle sometimes. But I think you should always be in like a good happy place before like you be tripping again. Because if you're upset or pissed off about it, I don't think it's a good idea. Because then you're in that sort of mind frame. I think you need to be in that happy mind frame for a while.
I think, that's one thing I think it makes you face the things you need to face, to be honest with you. Even if you're in a good place and you've taken a good dose, it can still lead you down to a nasty road of self reflection, 100%. But usually in a beneficial way, though, I think.
Sometimes you've got stuff on your conscience and stuff like that, and if you think you've accepted it or you've not accepted it, it will come back up again and stuff like that, and you have to face it and accept it for what's happened, and you have to think and address the situation. And sometimes that can get a wee bit tricky for some people, but like you have to say, you have to face it, and once you do it and accept it, most of the time you do feel a lot better. Getting some clarity off the chest can sometimes breathe a bit better with a situation which does happen in your life, and you can start laughing and joking and getting the stitches over pointless stuff and get the tracers and happy good feelings and stuff like that come back, you know what I mean?
I definitely believe that through the process of psychedelics, hallucinants, that you are able to access some type of Akashic records. You know what I mean? You are pulling some answers out of the ether or through them processes. And I think the deeper you get with, like, say, the DMT, the ayahuasca, and stuff like that, the deeper into that realm, them records you're able to dive into and find more answers, more clarity for your life and your situation. 100%. It actually through my observing that process, it kind of really made me even reconsider people's like mental health. As you sit back and watch somebody to go through that process of ayahuasca, DMT, you would literally think that person has lost their mind. They're crazy. They ain't never coming back. You know what I mean? Then you see somebody on the street going through that same thing, makes me wonder if they weren't born or don't have one foot in that realm and just can't necessarily express what they're going through, much like people in them phases of DMT or ayahuasca. They can't explain what they're going through. They're just in for the ride and are able to snap out of it once the drugs left them. But like I said, I've kind of changed my attitude on people that we deemed crazy because of the observations, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that the DMT and the ayahuasca, it's like what I've been told is like the outer body experience sort of thing, when you actually leave your body and you are in a different sort of dimension or parallel universe. I don't know what's the best way to describe it, but you sometimes go that way. It doesn't even on mushrooms or even on acid. If you take that much of it, you're in a total another place. But with more of the sort of DMT and ayahuasca is like you say, it's like your life. Sometimes, or like life what you're going to live, or things that's happened in your past, and it's just there one minute and it's gone the next with the DMT, but you don't know how long it's been there, or you know what I mean.
For sure.
You ever had any of that salvia stuff?
I haven't. That's another one I haven't tried. And people that I've talked to as of late said that's another good door.
Mate, that used to be like a legal high when I was a kid. This salvia stuff. And I think it's like this leaf form stuff. And it's like, comes from like some place in like South America or something like that. And they used to have like different strengths of it and all that, you know. And that used to be like an out of body experience if you were in the right situation and you felt comfortable, like, you know, like, and that was like just like legal in the shops, and they would sell it to us. And we were only like 16 at the time, you know, 17 at the most. And like, it was just like normal way, you know, when like we heard there was maybe like a tobacco substitute and stuff like that, and you could put in your joints and stuff like that. And if you put in your joint, you'd be tripping a wee bit, but you're stuck in a ball or a pipe. Like you say, it's like so close to like DMT sometimes and all that, you know. But again, it'd be enjoyable sometimes, and sometimes it wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't like mushrooms when it's like 9 times out of 10 it's going to be enjoyable. Well, like maybe like acid, maybe a good 7 or 8 times out of 10 it's going to be enjoyable, and one time it might not be so enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've definitely seen some crazy videos of people doing the salvia. And I think that for me has always been a deterrent. And I've definitely have seen people like jumping out of windows and all kinds of crazy shit on that.
We've heard of stories of that back home. I think somebody thought it was Mary Poppins or something like that, like, yeah. And people jumping out windows, but you hear about people crashing their cars being drunk on alcohol and stuff like that and killing themselves because of alcoholics or get to gambling, or you know what I mean? Like smoking kills you as well, eh? So at the end of the day, I don't think you can fight fate. I think when you die, it's your time to die. I've been in a lot of close calls myself and I'm still alive. I've died out almost a good few times and I'm still here. So I think when it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
I agree with that 100%. So we have Scotland, we have Morocco and California. Where else have you been able to try cannabis or consume some good cannabis?
Let me think. Just Spain. Been to Tenerife a few times. My dad moved over there. So been smoking weed in Spain. That's legalized there now. It's similar to Holland, where you can go into like a cafe and stuff like that. And you can just buy it. You can just sit down and smoke it there. When I was a kid there, smoked some of the hash we had over there when I was a kid, and it was dead nice, like in the lock and stuff and all that. You can get that over there again. But I think I've been to many other countries and got weed there. Like, yeah, went to Malta one time when I was a kid. I was against stone time to get weed there.
England, Ireland.
No, I've never been to Ireland.
Never been to Ireland?
No.
England?
Yeah, I've been to England. But England and Scotland is just like the same thing. Like, yeah.
Maybe like Amsterdam and Holland.
No, I've never been to Holland.
That's funny. I only went for a minute when my dad was when I was 16. So I must have on a tram. Same.
No, I never went. It's just always there. We never had to go on the holiday to get it. Like, okay, so, and I think it was even more expensive in Holland than it was back home. So we could get like, yeah.
They like going over there.
You had to pay for a hotel and stuff like that. Most of my mates were skint and stuff like that. So I was skint as well. So I've never been over to Holland, but I quite fancy to go over to Holland to try their stuff because they're like one of the first people to do it, like it. But I think nowadays there's just so much more. Holland's so cold, and it's like to Spain, I had to go there, so that's why I went there. But I like to go to Amsterdam or Rotterdam or something like that and see what their stuff's kicking about. But I think back in the early 90s and stuff like that. I think that's when the whole sort of scenes went on. I think the last sort of 2-3 years, there's been a big crackdown on that over there. And a lot of the old original ones, what were the original people, and had like the landmark coffee shops and stuff like that, has been taken out the game. And now it's just all these other new coffee shops and stuff like that. So it'd still be good to go over to see it all and all that, like, you know.
Knock it off. Has it always been consumption, or have you ever cultivated or grown the plant?
Yeah, I've kind of done both, like, you know. Cultivated the plant a few times, like. Yeah, just a few times. No more than twice, you know.
Shut up. 3 times, 3.5 times I've done it. But I'm about to do it 4 times now. Like you.
What about yourself? You ever cultivated the plant?
Have I ever Sorry.
Yeah. Have you ever like?
Definitely a caregiver here in Michigan for quite a few years, and 100% grown before it was legal here in Michigan, but still licensed for 72, and with the capability of having another 12 recreational here in Michigan, 84 at one point. So perpetual.
Yeah. Back home, like I was telling you about, like CBD thing, like became legal. So like, they also needed to get the demand in. So I think you could have applied for a card or something like a permit to like produce the CBD stuff. So I think some people did do that, and they had like a permit to do it. So then, like CBD plants were legal. So people would just say, well, it's a CBD plant or a THC plant. It'd be hard for them to tell. So I think that sort of broke it down a wee bit and all that. So like it was more not so frowned upon to like have like a wee small wee plant in your house. So I think, but like beforehand, again, it would be sort of like frowned upon a wee bit. But like, yeah, it would be wee bits here and there and stuff like that. And you would see like your friends, or when you're somebody you knew would have one going, and you just like see it here and there, and you see it developing. And sometimes you would have a wee small wee plant here and there, and you watch it develop, and you see like the difference of the plant structure and stuff like that. Every couple of days we change and stuff like that, and that's just you realize how like different size of the buds and all that, and how the buds develop and stuff like that, and you sort of understand about the flowers and stuff like that on it, and the THC and all that, the leaves and all that, and all the stems that come off it, and like you notice a lot more, and you realize like it takes a lot of effort and stuff like that. It's not just as what you think. But I think in the next probably 2-3 years, it's just going to get even more bigger and bigger, and hopefully it just goes how it is in like Spain or Holland or over in America, where it's just like you can just walk into a shop and you can just buy your stuff, you know. Or you can sit down and just get stoned in a shop instead of like wandering about with a joint or something like that, you know what I mean? And like having to hide behind like in a bus stop to smoke a joint or something like that, or like, so you can just go out for a drink or something and have a pint. You can sit down and have a few pints. You just sit down and smoke a few dibbies somewhere, you know what I mean? Instead of, because having to just like pick up weed and like just smoke on the street and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And there's other people walking about and all that, and you can't really sit down and enjoy yourself. And you should be allowed to sit down and at least enjoy yourself, and you can sit there drinking beer until you be sick, or like shot glasses or that, you know what I mean? Whiskies and stuff like that. And if that's fine, just like wander around the streets, pissing about the streets and that, being sick and all that, you know what I mean? But you can't just like sit down somewhere and just smoke a bomb. You know what I mean? You can't smoke a bomb in the street. You can, and you should be allowed to like sit down somewhere and just relax, smoke a joint, smoke a bomb. You know what I mean? Smoke a pipe. Imagine the look you get just walking in a park, just trying to smoke a bomb. Ken.
But I think he was asking like if you're growing weed at home for yourself, or like what strange you're growing.
Yeah, it's mostly like Barney's Farms sort of seeds, and I found was quite good, and then mostly I sort of kick about back home. There's a lot of like Stargog and all that, like kicks about back home. Before it was like cheese was the strongest stuff, but now it's like Stargog and all these like American strains and all that's came in, like Giallos and stuff like that, and Gorilla Glue and stuff like that. But most the ones what I've sort of guys have been quite good lately. It's been like this like DOS one, DOS 33 or something it is. All the ones I've done has been like Crystal Candy. I've got the aim ones. They were quite good for a while. That was a long time ago. But as you know, like when you're moving about flats and stuff like that, and you know what I mean, you need a location to do this sort of thing and that. And it's quite difficult sometimes when it's not exactly legal and all that, and you have to get all this the equipment and stuff like that. So it's quite difficult. Again, you have to get all the soil and nutrients and get lighting and stuff like that, and it does cost a fortune and stuff like that, and you need space to do it if you're doing it in your own home and stuff like that. So you have to have like a bit of space there, you know. But if you know, obviously you see like your friends and stuff like that, and people you meet, and sometimes they're doing it and stuff like that. So like it's getting a lot more common after the CBD sort of thing happened and stuff like that. But it's still, you have to watch what you're doing, sort of thing. If the police was to catch you with a blow or something like that, then you're probably looking at like a charge or something like that. Maybe like, depending on what you've bought and stuff like that, they would definitely take everything obviously, like all the equipment and stuff like that. They'd be saying like there's a fire hazard and stuff like that, and you don't have like a permit to do it and stuff like that. So if it was to become legalized as well, like you should be allowed to like grow on weed and that as well in your own home, because then you know it's been flushed right and stuff like that. It's no, you know what nutrients and that, so it's been put through it and stuff like that. You can choose what you want to smoke and stuff like that as well. Like, you know, yeah, mostly like sort of like soil, coconut stuff with the hydroponic bulbs that I would use back home. That's what a lot of people do. Some people use a hydroponic sort of setup sort of thing. But I wouldn't really recommend that. That always just gets clogged up, like. So I would just use the hand pulling them, like, but it's sometimes quite difficult at times because, like, you have to be working and stuff like that, and you have to do that at the same time. So, and if you're traveling up and down the country working and stuff like that, again, you have to like be there to look after them and that as well. So it's quite difficult. And if you're moving about flats and stuff like that, you don't have the same flat. Again, it takes like 3 months to fucking do the thing, you know what I mean? Like, and it's quite nippy like this. You have to like, be staying in a flat for at least 3-4 months, you know. And so it's quite difficult, like, that's the sort of problems we have back home. We don't have the climate. If you've got the climate, you can just do it outside. And it's so small, so it's like there's not enough places to hide from it all. So Scotland was a lot bigger and a lot warmer, then we could just do it outside, because I think in a lot of the stuff that's coming in is coming in from like Romania and Spain and stuff like that. And again, maybe coming in from like Africa and stuff like that, again, shipped in from America and all that, some Cali packs and all that started to happen and stuff like that. That started to fluctuate the prices and stuff like that, and people were just calling bits of weed Cali and that, and just sticking on like it's like 10 quid to your bag just because they put a nice wee packet for you and all that, and just like so like, and that sort of Cali stuff started to come in and that, and again prices started to fluctuate and stuff like that, and it's a lot more variety nowadays and stuff like that. There's like it's coming in from Spain, it's coming in from like Romania, it's coming in from like Bulgaria and all that. They're putting in stuff and all that, and probably stuff coming in from Africa and stuff like that, all that. And again, it's just loads of weed nowadays. Before it was like loads of hash. Now it's like not even any hash nowadays. Now it's just like straight weed on the streets, like, and that's what everyone smokes, like. But like, when it comes legalized and all that, I think it should be like there for everyone to like consume and all that, and can sit down in a pub and just smoke a joint inside instead of having to go outside in the rain, wind and stuff like that. No, I'm cool. It's just smoke out the window.
So do you prefer the flower these days, or do you prefer the effects of the hash that you kind of grew up on?
I think it's just what's just became very popular, like nice wee hash tones are right, but I think it's for me it's more nighttime smoking when I smoke, so it's more the heavy indica for sort of stuff I'm looking for, like to get me to sleep. And nah, the soap bar just sort of disappeared. Like yeah, it's still there. Like yeah, you still find it here and there, and hash is sort of not so common like the nice good quality of hash. It's there here and there, but it's normally in such small amounts and stuff like that. Again, it's not really there for that long. Yeah, it's not like, but it's mostly weed what people are smoking back home. Like some people are dabbers, some people buy the dab and stuff and that, and they get the vape boxes. Some people smoke the vapes, get the wee pen hangs, and it's like vapes. Some people are edibles and stuff like that. Some people just take edibles. They don't like smoking it. Some people take edibles and smoke it. You know. What would you say is more common in America? Smoking or the dabs, the bud, flower, or dabs?
I think it would be harder to get them type of things over there when it was more illegal. A lot goes into making, you know what I mean? A lot of flour, a lot of trim or whatever for a little bit of hash, or it takes a lot of cannabis to make a good edible and stuff like that. It seemed like it would be, like you're saying, kind of not so available.
Nah, like it's pretty easily available. It just depends who you are and who you know. Like, everybody knows somebody that does it. You know what I mean? There's loads of like dealers and suppliers and all that, and there's always drugs there. Like I've never heard once. So now when it gets snowing, when it starts snowing real heavy, then there's like roads get blocked and stuff and all that. Then it's like in times it's been a couple of times over the years when there's not been much stuff kicking about and it's been hard to get weed and all that. But there's never really been any time when I think to myself there's not been any weed there. It's only been maybe about twice in the last 15 years, 3 times when there's been like everybody in the whole of Edinburgh's been like fucking choking on some weed like here. And it's not been any weed at all, like because of all roads getting shut down because it's been too snowy and all that and icy and all that. And so that's the only time I've ever I think there's not been any stuff kicking about like and it's just the way your sort of friend circle and stuff like that and what sort of neighbourhood you come from and stuff like that. But then dark web opened up and stuff like that. Then like everybody could get their hands on whatever they wanted. And so like you can get stuff posted right to your door if you want. You can buy it in cryptocurrencies and all that and get sent to your house. And like I've never really done that myself, but one of my mates, he used to do it and all that, like and like so I think it's just that easily accessible nowadays. Everyone's just taking drugs nowadays, and it's not as very frowned upon as what it used to be like when it's back in like maybe like early 90s or the millennium and stuff like that. I think with the whole internet scene and stuff like that, and I think became a lot more easier. Like you've got like Snapchat and Facebook and stuff like that, and Instagram and stuff like that. People are it's just so much easier to contact people and stuff like that. And people's got mobile phones nowadays and stuff like that. It's just became evolved and evolved from having to tap someone's door, being in a pub at a certain time, at a certain night. And then instead of that happening, there's been mobile phones and stuff like that. And obviously cars have become a lot easier and stuff like that. And I think it's just evolved and evolved. But the thing is, it's evolved from when has it evolved? When did the first bit of hash come to Britain from Morocco or India? You know what I mean? When did the first bit of all these sort of substances evolve to transport into different countries? From opium to weed to cocaine. When did all this really actually first start? And when we were the first people to take it, and the first like what was the first sort of stuff. Now it's evolved to what is today, you know.
Are they
That's what I
taking
wonder
it
sometimes.
serious? Are they taking it serious as a like a medicine there, or do you think it will be decriminalized all the way at some point?
Well, just what in the UK are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, they decriminalised CBD, so like that's like the Ricky Simpson oil sort of thing. So that's all legalised, and now they're sort of bringing in the legalisation of THC. You can, I think it's basically like quite hard to get sort of thing, these cards, and you have to apply for this card. I think it's called like a can card or something like that, and you have to go through like your doctor and stuff like that to get it and stuff like that, and you have to have the right conditions and stuff like that. And Ken, you know what, like doctors and stuff like that, we go to try and ask them for these sort of things, you know, like Ken, it's sometimes they'd be like, why do you need to take these tablets and why do you need to do this and that? They try to keep you nice and healthy and stuff like that. So they don't really want to encourage you to take drugs at all and all that. So like trying to get these things, and I think only a certain number of people who's got them just now. I've got like serious health problems like MS and stuff like that, and serious problems with themselves that's trying to treat, and they're sort of in the trial phases just now, what they're sort of saying, and they're saying, well, but like I think a lot of that's been sort of like been going on for the last sort of like year and a half, and it's just slowly but surely it's going to just evolve from that, you know. So it's just waiting to see what happens every sort of like year or something like that. It's just going to get more and more sort of common. Hopefully we can start getting like actual like coffee shops and that we got in Holland, or like places like dispensaries what you get in America and all that, and things like smoking lounges and that you get in Spain and stuff like that, and clubs. It's sort of like you do as a sort of club, you join a club, so you can go there and you can just buy it and that. Something like that, you can just sit in and it's just like a pub. You just like get stoned there and just play pool, or listen to some music with your mates and stuff like that, or just like just chill there for a wee bit. So you don't have to smoke a joint beside in the rain, and you can just sit there and smoke a bomb.
No shit, the wind's in the rain.
Oh, the wind's the worst. Like,
roll a joint whilst you're walking and the wind's in the rain. You get it done though.
No,
You have to, you get it done.
But then there's always someone just staring at you, even if like want a joint in the street or in the park sometimes. Like, are you still smoking a joint?
Moving. That's why it's like you gotta learn how to roll whilst you walk.
No, but like if you just had a place where you can just like sit down,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like we're not asking for much here, you know what I mean? Just give it to us, you government people, just give us a smoking lounge,
We're begging for them here. We haven't even made it that far here yet, to be honest.
I think I seen something in Vegas. I've seen that article in Vegas. I might have started doing that. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I heard they had bars. There's some guy, Johnny Cannacy, this guy on this show. He lives in Vegas. He knows about that kind of thing.
He says they're gonna have a canna-friendly hotel there, probably a casino and all that.
A canna-friendly hotel.
That sounds decent, cool. Like it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. We have a few small consumption areas that are kind of like private here, and some events that we can consume, but nothing brick and mortar where you can count on, having your friends meet at every fucking week. You know what I mean?
Just somewhere you can just sit down and relax and all that. You know what I mean? Just have a wee game of pool or something like that, get some juice with your mates, again, just chill out. Didn't have to go to the pub, you know what I mean? Be a wee bit different, even just so like people aren't just smoking weed and all that on the streets and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And all the wee joint ends where people are flipping away on the floor and all that, it's going in the bin, it's not going to go and destroy the environment and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like all that, cut down and all that. They're making us change our straws and stuff, all that. You know what I mean? You used to get the plastic straws and all the paper and all that. You know what I mean? They kill that much with the environment. least do something else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in New York here, we can consume cannabis anywhere you can smoke a cigarette. I mean, that'd be cool. As I still kind of consume myself a little bit too much and too openly. I think at some points, I definitely realized how much and how bad I do it when I was recently traveling and wasn't necessarily in a cannabis friendly state. I quickly realized that I may be getting myself in trouble if I don't have to fucking watch myself there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, got kicked out of a hotel a couple of nights ago for smoking weed. Like, you need to be careful nowadays. Like, that's the thing here. If you had somewhere you could just sit and smoke it, you wouldn't be getting kicked out of hotel rooms, or you know what I mean. You wouldn't have all this trouble.
Be nice for the open consumption. There's times that you just want to consume. You know what I mean? You're walking along, beautiful sunset, or just even a skyline that you want to stop and partake. You know.
Yeah, it's quite good to enjoy a nice spliff outside if it's a nice sunny day. You know, if it's a nice sunny day. But if it's not a nice sunny day and it's raining and that, windy and stuff, you know, that wind just hits the joint and half your joint's gone in a second, you know.
Scotland is windy.
And Scotland's windy and rainy and that, mate. It's not like it's like Florida or like Miami or something like that. Las Vegas, nice and sunny, Like, when you get like a summer, like in like July time and April time, you know, for like 2 months. And it still rains.
We still do.
You know what I mean?
The sun's shining for a second.
For a few hours.
Summer, that's it.
And it only hits about 15, 20 degrees at the most, you know. It doesn't hit like high temperatures, you know, but when you just use stuff that sort of temperature anyway, it feels roasting, again. It's like, whoa. Then feels like going mental in summertime, like.
It's true. Within the meadows.
So if it does become pretty much legal over there, do you ever see yourself kind of joining the canna front, the community there, taking and growing, cultivating, just finding a niche somewhere in that area, maybe even owning that consumption lounge there?
Yeah, that would be like wonderful. Like, yeah, if that sort of thing could happen and all that, like that's the thing. But the thing is, if I was to become legal, then I would probably get taxed. You know what I mean? And like taxes are quite high in my country and stuff like that. And every week, every year, the price of the pint goes up and up and up. The price of the price of a pint of beer.
Yeah.
And cigarettes went through the roof. Like, I know like there's inflation and stuff and all that, but like you can buy a pack of fags, like cigarettes cheap in one country than you can in another country sometimes, you know what I mean?
Fag means a gay person over here.
Oh, cigarettes. And it's just like, and I reckon if it was to become legal in Britain, like the amount of tax and all that they would put on it, and it would just keep on going up, and the prices would keep on going up. And if you walk into a shop and stuff like that, again, you know what I mean? Yeah, you just have to pay for the price what they say. There's no negotiation. You know what I mean? You can't haggle with anyone in a shop. You just have to pay for the price what they say. Sometimes you can haggle with your drug dealer, and get a wee bit better of a deal, you know. Sometimes you can ask for a wee bit more, go half as with one of your mates.
It's true, you're right.
Then you can be like, oh, that's good, or that's not too good. And you can sort of be like, well, I want that, I don't want that, you know what I mean? And again, if it's your mate, you're getting it from sometimes it'll be a wee bit more cheaper, but I don't think if it went legal, I think prices would just go through the roof with it, or there'd be like a lot of competition between the black market and the legal market and stuff like that. And I would wonder what would actually happen. Because it would be quite good if it was legal, because then a lot of it would be taxable and would be making more money for the country and stuff like that, and there wouldn't be so much of a criminal element to it, and it would be funding crime and stuff like that. It would take a lot of the criminals out the game and stuff like that, and they'd be taxed, and it'd be like better safety standards and stuff like that. It would have to go through a sort of standard. There wouldn't be any mold rot or bud rot and any of it and stuff like that. Like some of the standards that you have in American law, it has to go be clean, it has to be fresh, it has to be flushed, and as we tasty. Like some of that, it's not like that back home. Like there's a lot of like meat that's there that's not being flushed, and it's probably been moldy and shit like that, and that's just common because it's not testable. So if it was testable and I had to get sent off to a lab, like it has to be done in America and stuff like that before it can get sold to the public, and it's got safety standards to it, then it would be a lot more safer for the public to consume. But the thing is, if it did become legal, it would be more easily accessible for the wider public to then consume what happened with the legal highs. And when the legal highs came out, everybody was out on the legal highs and stuff like that. So, but it's pretty much legal nowadays. You know, anyone can go on the internet and just get sent to your house, and 7 times out of 10 it's going to be there, or you could go to your pub or something like that, or you phone a number or that and you can get it and that. But I think it's a lot harder if you're not from that same area, to that same like city, if you're moving about cities and stuff like that. But like people just have Instagram and Snapchat and stuff like that, and Facebook and stuff like that, and I'm pretty blatantly open about it and all that. So it's not really too hard, I would say. But I think if you want to try and go for it, if you only hard bit if you're going in the same city, because and that's the nippy thing about it. If you go to another city to maybe go to a football game or a night out, then if you run out of drugs, then you can't even get stoned. So if you had like a dispensary in another city, you could go into on a night out, you buy weed there. You could have some dodgy guy in the street for a bit of weed, and then again jumped or robbed or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's a thing there, like, and there's a lot of robberies that happen. And if it was legal, there wouldn't be all these robberies, people going to buy drugs and getting robbed and stuff like that when you're going to buy drugs. Or the person who's buying the drugs, robbing the drug dealer and stuff like that. All these robberies would stop happening and stuff like that, you know. So if it was legal and we had our own place we can just sit there and smoke weed and all that, then I think it'd be a lot better for the wider public than it would be a harm for the public, because it would also be like creating new jobs and stuff like that after this COVID epidemic happen. Everyone's skint and stuff like that, then it could help the economy and all that. It could help be a growth business, you know, and it'd be taxable. But hopefully it wouldn't be like too expensive. It'd just be about the same prices than what is normal.
It was definitely weird when it became legal here in Michigan, the opportunity to just go around and, you know, be able to sample or, you know, 50 different strains, put your nose to it, you know, see it like a candy store type experience was definitely a fun phase of cannabis here. I hope that was someday that you guys are able to go ahead and consume and buy like that as well.
Yeah, it'd be like a dream come true, eh? Because like sometimes like people are just like go and buy alcohol and stuff in that instead of, because we'd rather get stoned, but they can't get it. You know what I mean? So people just buy alcohol and get buried on alcohol, and that's destroying people's liver and stuff like that. Then they're already half buried on alcohol, and then they end up getting the weed and that, and they end up taking both. You know what I mean? So like, if they could just go to a shop and just buy weed straight from a shop, they wouldn't be buying alcohol and weed. They would just be buying just weed, eh? You know?
I definitely think it's a better consumption than, say, alcohol. You know, I've definitely used both at one point, but a lot of the regrets in my life definitely come from the alcohol side of the consumption.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and I wouldn't say consuming alcohol is a bad idea. Like, yeah, all a good idea. in moderation, all good, with any alcohol, drugs or alcohol is fine. Within moderation, I would say, like, just like tripping, you can't trip every day of the week. I mean, like, you can
It's a matter of
drink alcohol.
self-control, not the substance, right? It's not the substance's fault. It's about your self-control, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's fine.
When it comes to drugs and stuff.
Do you have any places that you'd like to go and see cannabis or chase? You know what I mean? Go to,
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going down to like South America or something like that, and trying some of like their original land bases and stuff like that, and like Colombia and stuff like that. And but I think a lot of that's went away nowadays and stuff like that. But as many go naturally across the whole world, it's like about 45% of the whole country, cannabis can go wild just naturally, like from like Africa and like South America and stuff like that, and China and stuff like that, and Thailand and all that. But to be honest, I would rather just come to America or go to Spain or go to Holland or something like that. You can just see all the different types and stuff like that. There's loads of options nowadays, and I think Thailand's legalised it now, so it's just really whoever's closest to your own place, and that's just the ones that's going to have their own like local ones and stuff like that, You know, they might have ones from a different place and that, but I fancy just staying in America for a wee while, maybe going to Spain, maybe another time, maybe come back to America. Go to Holland. I've still not been to Holland. I would like to go to India and maybe try some of the hash in India, see if it's good as the stuff in Morocco, because I think that's where the Berber tribe originally came from. I think that's who brought it to Morocco from India. So like, it'd be good to actually go to actually India or Nepal or something like that, and see what the hash is like over there. Like,
that would be pretty awesome. That would be real awesome. I need to get off my ass and do some traveling, like cannabis traveling like that myself, to be honest.
Well, if that's what you enjoy, smoking cannabis, why not go to like the original places for do it? You know what I mean? But obviously, you stay in America, so like you can just, it's like a long journey to like Europe or something like that. You know what I mean? That's why you just go to different places in America. It takes about it's like 10 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours to travel from America to Europe. You know, it's a long time.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'd like to see some of those European countries, though.
Come to Scotland.
Come to Scotland if you want.
It wouldn't be a bad thing. I'd be open to see that beautiful country.
Yes, come see Edinburgh Castle. It's massive.
That's one of the draws right there, is some of the beautiful castles you guys have there, some of the awesome architecture. That'd be a huge draw for me.
There's some nice old like churches and stuff like that, and like it's a lot of nice landscape and stuff like that. Nice mountains and stuff like that. Up in the Highlands and stuff like that, there's like lakes and stuff like that, and it's quite nice about Scotland and that, but it's quite a small country, like, it's not really a big country, like, but there's good things to do and all that there. It's just like America, but it's more compact, and but there's still a lot of space there and stuff like that, like, it's just a bit chilly, make sure you come in the summertime, like. Where about you from? You say Oregon or something?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Detroit.
No, closer to being born and raised near Flint.
Right.
Which is a mid state. Further north these days. But I've done some traveling here in the States, but not Canada, but that's about it. I'd like to get on the other side of the pond for sure. Life's short.
Yeah, you should. just when you go over there, maybe go to maybe one place for maybe 4 or 5 days and jump on another flight to somewhere else for 4 or 5 days, and then just spend all the time in one place. You know what I mean?
Very bad.
Any place in Europe you like to go to, like?
Where I'd like to go in Europe?
Yeah.
Probably I'd like to definitely see Spain. That sounds like a cool place to visit.
Yeah, it's a good place, like.
Or Amsterdam would be cool. You know, it's one of the cannabis, highlights. I don't know how you could not go to Amsterdam at some point. Cannabis right now is coming up. That'd be a fun event to be a part of.
And they have a lot of that stuff, like in Holland as well. I think that the Cannabis Cup or something like that. And Spain would be a good place to go for it as well. Like, you go to mainland Spain or to the islands in Spain. They have like in Menorca and Ibiza and stuff like that, and the Canary Islands and stuff like that. Canary Islands and that are quite good, and Menorca and that they're like volcanic stuff and that. And you can go to like mainland and all that as well. Like, yeah. I know I've been more to the islands than I have to the mainland. I like to go to Italy. Like, I've not been to Italy. Like,
did anything about the California cannabis community or the cannabis scene in California surprise you?
Kind of hitting that in SoCal.
I thought you'd be able to like be able to get go into like a shop and smoke it and all that. But like, and you're not allowed to do that, so you just like sort of pick up from that, and you have to like go away to like your own hotel room or like your car or something like that, or just do it in the street and stuff like that. Or so I thought like they would like maybe do it more like the coffee shops in Holland and all that, and in Amsterdam and stuff like that. You can like sit in somewhere, because like you get kicked out of your hotel room for smoking weed and that, and you're smoking weed on the street and stuff like that, and people just like are looking at you funny sometimes, like you want a joint and all that, you know what I mean?
But you've only been to San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco's different, and when we're going to Southern California this weekend, and that's going to be different when we get to Long Beach. And I know Humboldt has a smoke lounge. Like, I go there and take gravity bombs in Humboldt, but I don't know yet about Long Beach. But we're going to meet up with Bud on Saturday and go to Masonics, and then you'll meet lots of people there.
Yeah.
You'll meet lots of cool people there. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me. Eagle, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm hoping when we go to Masonics on Saturday, and I can kind of introduce them to some cool people, and we can get a bit, just get on the level and get more in the culture. Because we've just been to San Francisco, which is, you know what San Francisco is like.
Yes, I do. It was
when
fun.
I met you there last year.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a good time. But you see how it's such a small melting pot, and it's super urban, and it's got a huge homeless thing that's very touristy, and this is winter time. So he's seen a bit of a slice. And yeah, we did get kicked out of a hotel room last night. And, we have to keep moving in the car. They have these robot cars with like cameras on them. Hold on. I'm going to take over your camera for a second, Jordan. Do you want to take a little breather?
No, you two talking about it.
Okay. So we were driving around last night. Was it last night? Yeah.
No, last night. Night before that.
Night before last night. And they have these unmanned cars, cameras on top, 360 degrees, no one driving them, robot cars, pulling up next to us and just hovering and going.
Like Google Earth and all that, pretending.
No, they're not Google cars though.
Yeah, the black one wasn't a Google, but there's the other ones with the Google Earth cars.
Well, what's Google? I don't even know what that is.
The maps. And it shows you on the map.
But they were going around all night.
The black ones. I don't know what the black ones were like.
But there was someone in that black one.
Yeah.
It was weird. They had these robot cars with Google. but they were mapping them like we were there. How many nights? 2, 3?
2 nights, was it?
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, we were 2.5 nights, and each night they had these cars zipping around, like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, zip, zip, zip. So we had to keep moving. We didn't want to like stay parked in one place, stay sitting in one place. It was strange, but you know, we're going down to Long Beach. That's where I lived for a few years. I've got people down there. It's the beach life. It's more chill. We're going to go to Venice Beach. We're going to go to Huntington Beach. We're going to go to Sunset Beach. We're going to go to Santa Monica. Where else are we going to go? I don't know. We've got these places. We're going to go to Masonic. Boom Dog. What? Oh, I don't know. We're going to go to some nice places, and it's going to be more chill. It's going to be a nicer vibe. I know people down there that have, you know, we've got a friend who owns a bar, and we've got some friends down there who are about to move to Italy. We're going to meet my friend Dean Gray. He's an artist. His wife Anna Musique, she's touring Europe playing piano right now. They're about to move to Italy actually, which is good for you to meet them, because then you've got someone to go visit in Italy too. But they live in is it Palos Verdes? I can't remember. There's an old roommate of mine from Long Beach. He used to campaign in the 80s. He was a journalist in the 80s for cannabis legalization. I want him to come on the show. I'm going to talk to him when we go have dinner with them or lunch with them tomorrow or the next day. I don't know. We're just kind of road tripping it. We're bringing it right now. But we got little spots we're going to hop to. And I'm hoping when we get to SoCal, you can soak up some culture, some nice vibe. We went to Hey Ashbury. We made friends with these nice hippie chicks for a minute. We got this lotus flower from this really nice deadhead lady. She tried to look for some music for us. Well, he got this tie-dye velvet. He fell in love with this velvet tie-dye hoodie in this spot. And then I got talking to him about the Grateful Dead. He's starting to get really into them. And then that's when I messaged Bud. So we're going to meet up again with Bud too. And he's probably going to help us get into some California culture. They can share stories about whatever they've been doing over the years and, you know, have fun like that. And that's going to be really fun. So grateful to you for introducing me to these people. And we've got these things too going on. Well, some of these from the stickers. Remember I sent those stickers, remember I made the stickers. So I think some of these might be appearing across the pond allegedly, maybe not somehow accidentally. So that'll be fun to see too. So we got, you know, we're doing some cannabis stuff. We smoked a lot of weed. We went to a couple of dispensaries. I took him to a cookies dispensary just to show him that kind of thing too. That was kind of fun. What else? You like the drinks? You like the drinks in there? I think the drinks are good because they're liquid, right? So they go faster through your system. You know what I mean? Like you absorb them. It's like liquid, faster than like edibles. I don't know. He's taking a little break at the window right now. We'll be back in a minute. How long have you guys been going? What time is it? 10, 11 here?
It's 1:11 here. The angel number 111.
Our hotel room and the hotel room we got cooked out of was 212. This one, room 22. And your flight was like flight 22 on the 22nd at 2:22. Yeah. And then we had hotel room 22. I can't remember the other one.
I thought that was funny. That was handed my phone over to somebody going, can you take a picture of me next to this client holding this ticket?
At 2:22 p.m. Yeah, that was crazy. 2:22, or it was 11. Was it 11:22 I think it was at 2:22 on flight 22-2, almost gate 22. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
but we had to do it. $150 across the country return for one day. $150 return. 22222. I was like, after we talked after that interview, and we talked about what we talked about, I was like, just randomly checked it. I was like, let's do it. What's that?
This room's 22 as well.
This is room 22. Yeah, so I was just telling him. Yeah, that's what I just told him. It was 212. Yeah. So we had lots of twos too. I seen a license plate a couple days ago. I can't remember where we were. We stopped somewhere and it was 22222. And I was like, I'll take a picture and I'll send that to Eagle. I was like, no. And then we've had all these other 22. I feel like what time is it now? 10, 12. One is 2. There's a 2 on the end of that. I don't know. All right, he's back. He's back.
All right, mate.
Cheers. So it sounds like you do have a good itinerary ahead of you. I definitely think that some of the events are some of the wow moments as far as cannabis goes. Seeing 1,000 and maybe sometimes 10,000 people consuming all at once is definitely a fun moment. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was down in like Santa Cruz this afternoon. And I smoked like a big fat joint. And I was looking back onto like the beach and stuff in that, and it did look pretty nice with like the palm trees and stuff like that. And you know, kind of if it was just a wee bit more warmer in the summertime, I'd have like my jacket on and stuff like that. And my jumper on, it'd be like a lot better. Again, but yeah, you just sort of look back into the landscape sometimes when you're smoking weed and that, and it just looks wonderful. You saw moments, sometimes you think to yourself, and this is just what it's about, you know what I mean?
Right. So was there anything in particular you wanted to see why you were here?
Just really the different like tours, attractions and stuff like that in America, and just different dispensaries, the different weed what's here mostly. Just like what it's like. Just to see what the different stuff's here and how good the stuff is. Few different city attractions and stuff like that I would like to see and stuff like that. Just been a wee adventure, a wee holiday. Been doing a lot of stuff back home and stuff like that. It's like so I was quite tied to in the country. I was looking after like my grandma for a while. So like I couldn't really go away on holiday and stuff like that. So it's been a wee while I've been away. So I thought I would just come over to America and do a wee bit of travelling about America and see what it's like. Always like American cars and like milkshakes and burgers and stuff like that. So you know, it'd be quite nice just to like have a few of that sort of stuff over here. A lot of bigger portions sometimes and that. So you know, it's been fun.
Right down. So will cannabis be the same when you get back after sampling some of the good California weed? Will you be like, oh man?
That's the thing, eh? That's the thing, eh? So like I'll go back home and that, and like there's no much selection. It's just whatever you get handed to, eh? And that's it, eh? You know what I mean? And then maybe like, and then you just have to decide right there and then. It's like, you know what I mean? There's no like, and it's like different options like there's here. Can you can just like, I like it in Spain on Holland, there's a few different options. So like, so just have sometimes you buy a bit of weed and you just it's like a sativa bag, you want it indica, or like you want sativa stuff and you have to buy indica stuff, you know what I mean? And you have to wait a bit for ages for the person to come meet you and stuff like that, eh? You know what I mean? And in the rain or the wind. And
1 hour more.
Yeah,
1 hour more.
Stand on that corner for ages or that, and like you stand on that corner for ages, and the guy's still not there and that. You can.
I hated that so much every day because I just get my 20 sack every day too. So I happen to be way more than it should.
And you're about to go home and all that, you know, on your way home and that, he texts you to say it's like, I'll be there in 2 minutes, mate. And it's like, mate, I've been there for about 20 minutes, eh? Like, where are you, hey, Ken? And you just walk straight into a shop, eh, and just get your stuff and all that, eh? And just like sit down and have a joint. You know what I mean? Smoke a bong or something like that, eh? Can smoke a pipe. And you can't really like do that in the public and all that, you know what I mean? Like, and you need to have like locations and that for you to consume it and all that as well, you know. Make sure like the people are okay and all that with it and all that, you know what I mean? I did like a suitable person and stuff like that, Ken.
I almost think now that I look back, that was somewhat probably part of the high. You know, that knowing you were doing
Kinda was
something
exciting.
wrong and kind of, you know, you could get busted, you did have to look out. I can't help but wonder if that wasn't some of the nostalgic buzz that we kind of look back and remember. Because here it's so, you know, prevalent, and it's as we watch the THC numbers go up, we kind of look back and go, there's something missing, you know. Even though this weed's supposed to be better and hit us better, it doesn't seem to be what we remember growing up. And I can't help but wonder if it was little things like that. You know what I mean? Knowing you could get busted and the little things like that was part of the high that we remember.
Well, yeah. To be honest, it was more like sort of like a party thing, and like a sort of thing like getting stoned and stuff like that, and like an experiment with drugs and that with me and that, and it's just sort of whatever I was sort of feeling of what I was doing, sort of thing. But you know, you say like I would enjoyed that because it was something that you shouldn't be doing, sort of thing. It's more like, and if I was like wanting to get stoned, it's because I wanted to chill out or go to my bed or something like that, you know. It wasn't like, I always had to sort of hide it from my family and stuff like that. It was like acceptable. But like, I always sort of like try and like do it and all that and stuff like that. And then you get caught and stuff like that. And like my dad would be moaning at me and stuff like that, and like my mum would moan at me and stuff like that. I just sort of pretend like, nah, I'm getting stoned and stuff like that. But like you just sort of get a bit older and stuff like that, you know, if you can hide it a bit more, when you're like on flat and stuff like that, you know what I mean? You know, getting caught, getting smoking weed and stuff like that, and sticking out your house and stuff like that. So that's like sort of thing, like you go through different phases in life. It just depends what you're sort of doing, you know.
You ever come across the good old brickweed?
What? Brickweed, like ice stick.
No. Brickweed is brickweed. Basically, they would smash it down into nothing, and you'd have to like, oh, it'd be just rock hard. Like an eighth would be like smashed down.
So you know how we had like Rasta weed, like the stick and the stem and the seed and stuff. That I think their equivalent of our shitty weed was like, I think they call it Mexican brickweed, and it's like just compressed, fast Pretendica, quickly grown, compressed, dried out, sticky, stemmy stuff. And it was their bunk weed basically. So he's asking if you've come across any of that.
Yeah, that was like sort of like we used to call it like gamble weed and like Chinese weed and that, like, and it's be like cheap shitey weed.
Till it wet.
But be wet and that, it wouldn't be compact and squashed in. It just be like loose and fluffy. And it just be like wee buds and all that, but like really cool quality sort of stuff.
We would, you know, to be technical about it. Brickweed wasn't always bad weed. It was just compressed, so you could get a 50-pound block that you'd literally take like a Bowie knife and just break pounds off of. You know, it could be good, it could be bad. It was mostly bad, but it could be, you know, it wasn't all.
We were like Thai stick. We called them like Thai stick. It was like seedy and all that, and it was like compacted like that, and it like wee layers to it, sort of thing.
Yeah, super.
No, that's more strain specific. I think so it's just like any kind of weed. It's just the way they like stored it. They pressed it down and they put it in the bottom of that duffel bag or under that car where it was compacted as hell. They squished it down as much as they could, and you're left with like this like an 8 to be like a 3.5 gram like brick, and that's why you call it brickweed.
Yep.
But
It
it's
was
not
definitely
necessarily
for
bad
smuggling
weed.
purposes.
So it could have been good weed. It could have been good weed, but it would have been brick.
Yep.
So
They
it's not
would literally
necessarily bad.
put it
Okay,
in,
well, that's where I was wrong with it. Okay, I keep hearing Mexican brickweed. You're like, oh, that's not Mexican brickweed. And I hear that that's a bad thing. But I guess it just means that it's been, probably this means they've moved it across the border. Yeah. Okay. Well, I learned something.
We used to get like this stuff, so yeah, it's shite weed to be like weed body stone and that. To be like fucking like loads of weed compressed in. And maybe come from like Thailand or something like that. It was like Thai stuff. And sometimes it was very like weed over and shite, and sometimes it was a wee bit better, but there'd be loads of seeds and like stems and like all compressed down into a wee bit, and you just sort of like bake it up and it'd be like layers and that to it, and you just like
so dry.
You crumble it into your weed and that, but it wasn't a very good quality and that. It'd be very cheap and that. Really be the best.
I think because like back home they harvest it quickly, right? They try to harvest it quick. That's why it's wet, and they don't flush it. It's kind of chemical. It dries up and it shrinks.
Yeah.
But these places, they think they grow it mostly in like hot places, so they don't have that wetness. They're trying to add the humidity in. But and back home, they're trying to take that humidity out, right? So our heating bill is the main thing. We've got the humidity. It's our lights that are creating that heat. Sometimes we have to take the humidity out because we've got so much. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it might just be the way it stores different, the way they pack it. Because if it's wet like that, go bad in the middle. But then that's when they started spraying it, and that's when they compacted it and they sprayed it. And that's probably why they did that, so they could compact it and then it wouldn't go bad because they spray it with that chemical shit. So I don't know. Well, our thing was it was wet. It was never like dry like that. Bunkweed back home was wet, right? From what I remember. Dry cure was a good thing.
I think there's all different names people call things and all that, and it's just whatever like local people call it for whoever it comes from, you know what I mean?
Definitely a ton of different names for it, that's for sure.
We call like good weed back home like tidy, and you've got that's like the sort of like the slang name you call it back home. It's like it's tidy, it's good weed, like
What's the good weed?
We just got it tidy. Like tidy is like when we say like there's a tidy bud, like a nice bud. It's like a slang name.
You can like tidy your house.
Like
tidy it up. Tidy, TIDY.
TIDY. That's just what we call it back home, like or kumo, or flavors. And
it's good to know in case I ever make it there. I want to ask for the good stuff.
It's any slang names for it over here for like nice stuff, but these just say nice stuff.
Now these days, top shelf. You know, back in the day, it was hydro, all kinds of the kind bud, a bunch of different names, slang names for the good stuff.
We used to call like homegrown there.
Yeah, homegrown necessarily was. It's kind of funny because homegrown these days would be the good bud, but back then it wasn't necessarily homegrown. Wasn't. Yeah, you know what I mean. It always associated with. You know.
So where did the good weed come from?
Where did the good weed come from? It was mostly homegrown, so the nicest weed would come from, but there'd be a lot of like imports probably that would be supplying the market as well. And I don't know where that import market would be coming from, but
same here. Sorry.
I don't know, you see a lot of like international like gangs and stuff like that getting caught all the time and stuff like that, and you don't really know where a lot of this other stuff's coming from, what's getting onto the streets and stuff like that, coming from different countries and stuff like that. And it was all coming from the same country, it could all be like controlled and monitored, and it'd be all clean and, like, again, like, it'd be all nice and like healthy and that for people to consuming that. So like it was legalized worldwide. It'd be so much more easier and healthier public. I mean, it'd be all this like dodgy, shitty weed that would be kicking about the streets and all that, you know what I mean? It'd be easily accessible for the whole like public to do it. But sometimes you know what, you go on holiday, if you can get a joint over in a different country or stuff like that. So it cause tourism and stuff like that to other countries and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Do you have some as you're saying there, Thai stick and stuff like that? Some regions do have a cannabis they're known for. Would you say there's a strain or cultivar that would be well known or possibly bred out, come from Scotland?
Well, I think the skunk and the cheese came from like somewhere in Britain. Like I think cheese is a British strain, like yeah.
Is it Northern Lights?
I think it's like Jamaican high grade crossed with skunk plants. Was like came from like Britain. Like was at the time to just start, I think. But I'm not really too sure with like a lot of new ones and stuff like that. Obviously, it's like not as easy as for it's like legal in countries like it's legal in like Holland and like to make the seeds and all that. Now it's like legal in America and that to like start producing seeds and stuff and all that. So then that's when like all these like new hybrids starts coming in. Before when I was younger, it was like cheese was like the best stuff and all that. And then they would say like cheese, that it's cheese, even though it was nothing like cheese. They would say it was cheese. But now it's style dog. Now style dog's the new word for it nowadays, and cheese. And normally style dog's the most strongest. And there's obviously there's different hybrids nowadays, like the Giatos and like the Global Blues and stuff like that. And there's loads of different ones nowadays, and if it's really good, it'd be called Style Dog, or they might say what the name is, or they just say it's tidy, again. Or cheese, again. Or like if it's not so good, they just say it's like haze or something like that, And it just depends whatever you can get back home, like yeah.
Definitely enjoy some cheese for sure. I think it's a good recreation strain, but it has a lot of medical value to it too. But very enjoyable all around.
Yeah. Cheese is one of my favourite ones, like to be honest, like and that like the original like blue cheese we used to get back when we were younger and stuff like that. Used to be like the best, I would say, like and even like AKs and stuff like that. There used to be nice AK bits, and Jack Keller was probably one of my favourites as well. Just so fruity in that, I like the sort of fruitiness weeds sometimes you get, and like if there's no that, we sort of like cheeses, heavy indicas sort of thing. I'm getting into the cookies quite a lot lately, like cookies have been doing the damage, like
the cookies are good. I try to wait to just wean away up from a lot of that hypey stuff. It's a good strain, but it wouldn't be something you'd find in the garden for sure.
But people cross everything with it for that density and that like rock like nug. It's just cookies cross are such an easy trim, and they have those hard small nugs like pop on the branch. That's why everyone's crossed with cookies, because they're going for that scorcher. They're trying to get the terps from whatever they're crossing with. In my mind, anyway, that's my opinion. That's where there's so much in calories crossed with the cookies, so much, and it's not a bad thing if it's carrying on a lot of the strain it's crossed with, if it's getting that funk, if it's getting that terp profile, and it's getting that structure, I've nothing against it. I don't have much against it. I mean, the whole corporate philosophy behind it, the ethos of the company, the way it's being branded, the message, the whole recreational medical divide it's kind of created, the way it is trying to be like an Apple shop of weed, you know, I'm not a big fan of that. But if someone passes me one of those joints, I'm not complaining, you know. But that's what it is. But like I said, we've just been to San Francisco. So we're about to go, you know, and to kind of see the tourist side of it. So we don't really have, like, I don't have people here. But when we go to SoCal, he's going to experience that. He's going to see the different kinds of weed. I brought him some outdoor homegrown, some of that Joker that my friend grew. He smoked some of that in the morning. But, you know, that was harvested last summer and it's just being stored in her house. And, you know, she's got rid of all the best stuff and all the, and then all the purple stuff is the colder stuff. So now it's kind of the smalls that have been sitting in the baggies for a minute. So it wasn't really a true representation of the humble outdoor. We just had my weed, had some dispo, but then we're going to smoke other people's weed when we get down there. And I think we'll have more of an opinion, more insight on like the alternative, the sun grown, the more medicinal, the different terp profiles, the different companies, see the different ethoses of the different people on the market, and explore more of the caregiver side. And I'm hoping he hops on here or maybe on a Weed Nerd World after this too, and maybe get some like more information and more insight from your guys' experiences as caregivers with the medicinal side and the respectful side, and then the nature, the regenerative farming and all of that kind of stuff, you know? But yeah, one step at a time. It's a whole universe of, it's the wormhole, right? The wormhole. So
It's definitely a deep wormhole, that's for
yeah.
sure. As far as like cookie goes, you know, it is a good strain, you know, a good structure. I'm not knocking it like in any way like that. I kind of think that it's cookies represents what I hope not to see in cannabis. The recreational side, the cookie cutter, and you're already seeing it, you know, in Thailand, across any state that's legal, you see this pop up, really posh type cookies store. And I just think that's, you know, I don't want to see cannabis be that, to be honest with you, but where it'll be like a mall-like experience.
It's kind of like a more like experience when you're in there, when you can just like pick up the jars and stuff and all that, like, you know, you can have a wee look at them and all that. But like, that's the thing, like, there's brand names out there and stuff like that, and the seed companies are brand names and stuff like that, and you know what I mean. So like, that's the thing, like, there doesn't need to be a brand name out there and all that sometimes. So if they want to try and start a brand name, I don't really see what's a big deal, but it starts doing like that whole corporate way, and that's just like the whole dominance and all that. You know what I mean? And that's not really, that's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's like it should be there for like everyone to like be there to make something of it instead of like one main corporation sort of thing like that. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely I don't know. And what it does, the whole jar thing, the sniffing the jar thing, at least here in Michigan's becoming less and less. At one point you could, you know, have that variety, but as recreational weeds kind of stepped in, that opportunity has been lessened here in Michigan. So I'm grateful for the legalization of cannabis. I just don't like the bigger side of it, I guess. I still appreciate the black markets, I guess, or the caregiver side, or what they would call the black market. I'd like to see like a more mom and pop farmers market type thing, to where people could buy cannabis versus the mall setting, I guess. But I guess grateful either way.
As long as you can get a bit, then that's good enough, you know. But like, just having like being able to go into like a normal day shop and be able to like buy your stuff instead of having to like stand on that street corner for ages, you know. And and just like you just get whatever you get, you know what I mean? To have that selection, or just to like, but as long as it's good enough, then it's not really a big deal. But can sometimes they be like, can it could be a lot better than what it is, you know what I mean? I almost spilled my can over there when I was reached back there, but I almost spilled my can over there. When you spill a kind of juice or something like that, and it just goes everywhere, and it's just like a pain in the arse.
Have you liked the edibles? You said you the first one you didn't necessarily feel. Have you had some good edibles?
Yeah. I've not bought any here, like but like back home, I've made the edibles like myself, like, and they're all good, like just with the butter and the coconut oil and that, like I was saying earlier. Just adding it to bits of chocolate and stuff like that, and again, like, you have to be careful sometimes, you know.
Definitely a fun high. I've actually went a little deep myself and have hallucinated hallucinated a little bit on the edibles there.
Yeah, I've almost had a few whited experiences, like but I've no whited, but I've just been lying there for ages, been very melted. Had made plans with my mates and stuff like that, and just obviously getting too melted to actually go out and do stuff. But it's just a big hassle making the butter and all that, and kind of what I mean, and like, it's just like it's easier just to smoke a joint, like but I need to make free that butter, something like a coconut oil, not done in that in a wee while, like make some nice edibles, like, you know. I might try some at one of the dispensaries, buy some of the edibles, some of the sweeties, like I've still not tried any of them, like. Any ones you would recommend?
Yeah.
Any brands or ones or that are all different?
Yeah, they're all different, to be honest with you, but they're all good. It depends on what you're able to get there, you know, the milligrams of over-counter edibles vary from state to state on what you're able to get. Shit, there at California, at one point, you could go in and get 1,000 milligrams in one edible. That would be, they've had people had too many, like, I hate to use the term, not necessarily just bad experience. I thought I was going to use the overdose, but I had like a bad experience with edibles. But, and so they've kind of really pulled those numbers back on what you can get, you know, per package and stuff like that. So what's good is, I don't know, what's available to you, I guess, is moreover.
Yeah. Some of the sweetie packet ones I've seen in the shops and some of the dispensary, I think I might pick up a pack of them just to see what they're like. Just they look quite good, like but I've not just went for the actual bud itself instead of actual the edibles. I tried one of these juices. I got another one. It was like 4 for like 3. So it wasn't too bad, but they were still quite expensive. Like, you know what I mean? And I drank one before, and never really felt much for like but yeah, some of the edibles, like I've heard them might be good, like so I think maybe trying some of them, like, but you always just do it yourself, you know what I mean? With the butter and all that as well, like but to make the sweeties and like that's a bit of a hassle, like so it'd be good to try some of them. Some of them I had them back home, like watermelon ones. They're like dead juicy and stuff like that. I never like really felt much of them, like but I reckon if they just like scan half a packet up on the name, they should feel something of like.
For me, out of the other than the things I've made, because I purposely have made my butter or my source material like super strong, and I like my edibles strong. But out of, you know, just walking up and buying an edible, the pickles were surprisingly the strongest edible I've had. and I still don't understand how it works, or you know what I mean. How
What do you do
it,
with the pickles? You cook pickles in, or what? What are you talking about? Pickles?
they were medical pickles. They were cannabis medicated fucking pickles.
Hmm.
And by the time you got, I mean, 5, maybe 10 minutes
He's like a
later, if
gherkin.
that,
Hmm.
the fucking that pickle would hit you like a fucking ton of bricks. I mean, literally, just like. They were asking me the one time, you're like, you gonna get into that contest? I'm like, fuck no, I gotta drive and shit, be functional. I ain't getting into. I love pickles. Oh.
Well, I get some of these pickles. Like,
They were good. But I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't understand how they hit so fast. If it was the vinegar, or, I don't know. I don't know what was how they hit so fast, but definitely the strongest edible I've ever had.
Crazy pickle.
crazy edible I've ever had is probably like the one butter stuff and all that. Just putting some butter into like some chocolate and stuff like that, yeah. And like getting you start off just with like putting like maybe like a gram or two in it. And before you know it, you can like you're putting in like quite a lot, can. You know, like you're lying on your bed for like a few hours and like can before you know it, you'll be lying there for another few hours, like and half falling asleep and stuff like that, you know.
The highest I've ever been, it was that occasion there where it was edibles that I had made. I'd made butter that day, and then turned around, made cookies with it, and then consumed the cookies that day. But I fucking definitely had a laughable, like mushroom, almost like acid, like laugh and experience with through the edibles. I don't know how I would replicate it or what, but I've always wanted to. It was a good experience.
Yeah, edibles are such a experience. If you take enough of them and the work and all that, yeah, you don't forget about it, like, yeah. And but like, again, it's just such of a hassle to make it and all that, like, yeah. It's the bomb. The bomb.
I'll find it.
Can I find it?
I'll find it. I don't know where it is.
Looking for the bomb here. I was gonna make myself a wee bomb here. Can I find it? Like, yeah.
We're on that table.
No, that's the one for my dad was like.
Oh, they were both there though. Wait, where did you take the last one? Oh, by the window?
The window one.
Here's by the window. Mm-hmm. Oh, there it is.
Nice one. Cheers. Sorry about that, mate. Just gonna make a wee bomb myself, like, yeah.
Is that your preferred smoking method or ingested method? Is like a bong, or is it a joint spliff? How do you prefer to consume?
Mainly bongs, to be honest, myself, like, yeah. I felt to smoke bongs. What about yourself?
I prefer joints. I roll. It just seemed to be less work. I don't know. You can more it onto the to go. As you kind of pointed out, it's kind of hard to smoke a bong in public or
Yeah.
Or pipe.
That's a big
even driving makes it tough. And I like to consume when I drive. I'm not gonna lie there.
I love smoking and driving.
I like being out in the public sometimes, like it's like a nice sunny day. It's like a nice beach or a nice park, having like a joint or something like that, like, yeah. But if it's like windy and rainy and all that, like, you know what I mean? You don't want to be going outside to smoke a joint, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, and you can go into a pub and drink all day and go outside and be sick. Yeah. And they sit a warm place. You have to like go outside to smoke a joint.
I know.
Yeah, what I mean?
No fair. Stupid.
But like, yeah, what's you prefer to smoke a joint than smoking bongs?
Yeah, preferably with a little hash in there. But yeah, 100% joints.
Or with the dabbing stuff, you into the dabbing stuff? Sometimes with gravity bongs.
I definitely don't mind a bong, but the dabs. I don't mind one here and there, but I've never been a huge constant dabber. I tried there for a little while. Gets too expensive. I break too much glass for one, and for two, I'm not. Man, I'm not as clean as most dabbers I see are. They get that whole little process of 20 minutes of cleaning their rig. And
I really can you need a lot of like apparatus for that. You need a lot of stuff for that. You need like your rig, you need a like blowtorch lighter, you need to be pinny bits and stuff like that. And sometimes it ends up just falling straight in the hole and all that. It's just like that's pointless, like you can.
yeah. Dabs can be expensive too, man. I don't know, man. They're just tough on my chest, man.
And actually your chest a bit hard as well, like it's not really that smooth sometimes, like and the quality of the dabbing stuff what was kicking about, it's not really like the best as well. And so it's not like getting all the alcohol off it and all that. It's like a lot of people like quite sloppy with it back home. Tend to add like extra weight to it to leave on like a lot of the alcohol and all that I think on top of it. And so like there's a lot harsher than what it should be. So if it was legalized and stuff like that, can all that stuff would be a lot more like healthier for the public and stuff like that, you know. That's what I noticed a lot back home compared to like the stuff like smoking in other places and that, like in Spain, some of the hash ice there, hash and that they've got there. And other bits I've had here and there back in the UK, but most of the stuff back in the UK is not up to scratch compared to like everyone's health and safety standards that could be involved in that, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially when you get into the hydrocarbon side of, dabs and stuff like that, especially in where you are, where it's not being regulated or people aren't worried about being tested. I would definitely worry about it.
Wait, dabs aren't tested?
I've been hearing horror stories as well about things having to get tested and that. Imagine having to like just give away the whole like stash to like the government to test to see if it was like mouldy or that, and and if it was to get mouldy, you will end up losing the whole stash. You know what I mean? The whole crop you'd have to like to get tested and stuff and all that. You know what I mean? But then it'd be like that sort of stuff, and you'd be kicking a book for the public to consume. You know. And like the extract things with that dab and stuff and all that to be better extracts and stuff like that. You'd be so sloppy and all that, you know what I mean? That's just how I sort of think about it, you know what I mean? Just gonna smoke a wee bong, eagle just now, mate, if that's all right. You mind?
Yeah. Nothing wrong with some good bong hits. So it's still the peanut butter there.
The peanut butter breath stuff.
And a bit of the Slurdy 3, the Slurricane gelato, jet fuel gelato.
It's good,
Definitely
like,
a
you know,
different
the
high.
dispensaries and all that. Yeah, man, it's good stuff, like, good high, nice and dry, dense buds. You know, it's looking like it's going to be one of the new ones that's getting out, like, yeah.
That and I think the ingestion method, I think, is a different high. The bong itself provides a different high than say the joint would. I think
Yeah.
temperature makes a difference or plays a difference in it.
Yeah, it's weird, like how like you just described how like smoking in a joint and smoking in a bong and obviously eating it and that as well, how it's all different highs and all that as well. Like, you know, bong's more instant, you know what I mean? It hits you harder, you know what I mean? And it's like a lot more faster. It's just smoking a joint, you're just smoking a few draws here and there. And like you're gradually getting a wee bit more stoned up, you know, and you be stoned for a wee bit.
I wonder if the government will be that stupid about it at some point, and they're already breaking it down into like molecules. Do you think they'll be like, as we talk about, like, oh no, if you're smoking it out of a bong, it's a little bit too much this. You can't ingest it like that.
Yeah, well, even edibles and all that as well, it's a different way as well, in the build up and like the climax and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, but I don't really know what's the best way to vaporizing it. Can the big bag that goes up and or is it just in a joint or or eating it? I probably would say eating it's probably just maybe the best way for you, but
I think it kind of boils down to the purpose. What's your purpose and why you're using it, I guess. Say like dabbing it, you may need it that onset quicker. You know what I mean? You might need that quick relief from the stress or whatever that only a dab would take, but it won't necessarily sustain to where, like, say, if you're like kind of wanting it more on the medical side for pain or, you know, maybe even, you know, a relaxing, giggly high, the edible. Or, as we're talking about, like even the bong versus the joint, I think provides a more heady high, you know, more kind of open aware versus I think the joint kind of the slower intake of the joint provides more of a laid back, more full body high, depending, you know. But I think the purpose and how you're smoking it definitely plays a role a little bit in that final high.
yeah, it's like a lot of what you've been saying about why you're actually doing it. Sometimes it's to go to your bed or something like that. Sometimes you've been like been at work and it's been a long day and you're tired and that and you just want to relax a bit. Sometimes it's just you want that laughy, jokey high you want sort of thing, you know. And you're just watching a movie or something like that, you just had something to eat or just before you have something to eat. You know. Oh, that one, man.
Yeah.
What's your favourite weed you've been smoking lately?
Pardon me?
What's your favourite weed you've been smoking lately?
My favorite weed I've smoked lately. The peanut butter and jelly bread was really good.
Yes, it is.
100%.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Some of the stuff that my buddy Smiley's growed out or bred out, I should say.
Oh,
has
I gotta
been
show
really
you
good.
Smiley stuff. He's a good dude. He's a good friend of Eagles. He's got lots of cool stuff going on. Yeah,
He
it's all
does.
organic.
Good
Yeah.
flower, but some of the genetics he's breeding out has been really good too. That Formula 51 that I don't even know if he's like put that to seed form, but that's been one of my favorites out of his. Ooh, the cereal milk. If you can find the cereal milk, that's the shit. Uh, some of my favorites right now. Anyway,
Yeah, I had that cookies bliss stuff. That's been pretty good. Like, yeah, I've been hearing that, and had that a lot of stuff as well. That was pretty good. That Indian stuff, I think.
Joker OG.
And had that like blue cookies as well. Yeah, and that was the last bit, and that was pretty nice as well. Pretty nice joint. And we've had
Temporarily lost our dad.
that Seattle stuff. That was very good. Ladybug stuff. Yeah, there's been a lot of nice stuff here, like and back home there's been a lot of nice stuff kicking about as well. Like cheeses and star dogs and all that, it's always about different flavours and all that. But it just depends, sometimes it's not the best, sometimes it is, But yeah.
I'm sure you'll definitely try quite a few while you're there.
Yeah, when they try a few stuff in LA and probably some in Vegas and that. So it'll be a lot more strains, hopefully it'll be payday and all that, you know what I mean? Had some nice GMO stuff before, like, had that stuff.
That's good stuff.
Try and get some of that.
This Kim song's been pretty good to me today, anyway.
Camp song.
Yeah, the Kim song that Brent Anderson brought out there. What I've been smoking this whole time.
There's not much hash in the dispensaries up in the States. It's mostly pod there.
Well, it depends on what you call hash. What I would call hash and what we've talked about, I would consider hash would be good old fashioned dry sift pressed into something like this.
What we call pollen,
On
they
camera.
call keef. You know the
Yeah.
trichomes that you shake off,
Yeah.
the gold dust. We call pollen. They call that keef over here. Yeah. They're like, so I think dry sift is like collecting all the keef, all that golden dust,
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
trichomes and stuff, like
Yeah,
the
all the
long
crystals
hash
and that,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Well, I think keef is kind of would be considered what you'd find in the end of that grinder there, to where sift was multi-screened out and just would be just heads. It'd be something like good. Can't see that shit, but a little ball of some nice bubble hash
Yeah.
there. But I wouldn't necessarily consider keef is a good byproduct, but I don't necessarily consider keef hash because there's so much plant material in keef. I kind of consider hash to be more just heads, or like unless you're talking like an old Moroccan hash where it hasn't been necessarily filtered out as much. There's a little bit more plant material, full spectrum kind of thing.
Would you call keef, when you have your trim bin, you're trimming on your black tray and it's got the screens in the bottom, and then you lift up the top layer, and then the bottom bin has all your dust in it, the gold dust. You know what I'm talking about? That's keef, right?
Yeah.
That's keef. That's what we call pollen. and then you get bricks of that. People just crumble that up. That's keef though, right?
Would either one of you guys consider that to be like a straight out hash?
I mean, I don't know. No, I mean, pollen's different from hash. That's why it's got a different name, I guess. You know what I mean? When rum, because you have pollen, we had pollen, we had hash, we had slate. You ever smoked slate?
I had that once.
Yeah.
Just once, like,
yeah. It's like
What's
that.
slate?
like
Elaborate now.
nice
Come on.
hash.
I talked about it on my kind of frantic interview, which I lived for a little bit, I think. It's like this weird, like, it's a kind of,
It's just like,
it's like a byproduct hash, almost like, you know, when you get layers of it, like when you make soap bar, it comes in kind of layers, and sometimes you see like different colors in the layers and the chunk of the hash. Like you'll get it like a circle like that big, like you'll get an ounce of it, and then it'll have like different layers in it, and then sometimes they'll have even like this. Sometimes you get a little bit of plastic in it, but I think that's just the way it's been contained, and the guys just cut it like that, and it's just like the way he's had it wrapped up in bags or whatever. But the slate, I think it's something part, like after they take out the sticky the hash, it's something to do with on top, because it crumbles different from hash, and it has a different name from pollen, different name from hash. And the first time I was given slate, it was by a traveling person in a graveyard when I was 15, and I was trying to take a bong, and it was my last bong hit. I had a plastic bong in my backpack, and I made the bong, and I just really needed to take it. So I dashed out of view and I went to take it, and I blew into it instead of sucking. And my bowl just went everywhere on the floor. And I was so pissed. And this guy started laughing from over the side, and he came over and he said, have some of this. And he had this little bit of hash. And I was like, oh, what's that? And he said, it's slate. And he was like, it's kind of like hash. And then he kind of explained it to me. But at the time, it didn't quite make sense. I didn't really know what he was talking about, but it was something to do with the layers, and then they make the soap bar, and it's drier than hash. It's not sticky, but it's got that same kind of smell, and it's more powdery, but it's like compact. It's like hard. It doesn't crumble that well. You still got to melt it, but it doesn't bubble as much. It's weird. It's weird. I'm not even sure to this day what it is. I'm sure some people from Scotland know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if Old Flower knows in Ireland. I don't know if they have the same thing. I don't know if he knows what soap bar is.
Well, I've definitely heard of soap bar hash.
Yeah, soap bar hash is like the shite hash you get.
It's the stuff we get when we were kids. Remember I said the kids would sell it in the corners and stuff when we were kids. We get the Rasta weed in the soap bar hash.
You used to get some nice hash as well, and you call it like hashish.
Or the Moroccan black, the sticky black, and it would bubble up.
And it'd be like different like sort of quality levels and stuff like that, or good hash again. And but that bit of slate sort of stuff was about one time, and it's just like a bit of hash, but like if you could imagine, like it was like a slate where you smash open, it'd be all like slanted and like angly and all that. And so when you try to pick it up and they pick it and all that, again, it was just like feel totally different and stuff like that. It all like crumbled differently and all that, you know what I mean? That's why we call it slate, because it would be like all weird angles and all that to it and all that sometimes, right? But like soft black and stuff like that would be kicking about sometimes, with nice bits of that sort of stuff, and like but it'd be like quite rarely that stuff would be kicking about. It's mostly like nice green and stuff like that that's kicking about. That's sort of like what people know is smoke nowadays. Like sometimes pollen and like cheap hash and stuff like that might be there and that, but it's mostly like bud, like
I think one of the reasons why you don't see too much of it here in the States is because they're so quick to. I think the traditional type of hash, press hash, water hash, and even like a pressed hash like you guys are talking about, that is now being taken further on, being processed into rosin, because they feel it's a better product and get more money out of it. I think it's more of a money thing than a quality thing, but so the appreciation for an old school hash, I don't think is there anymore. which I think as we kind of filter it out, extract it, we're again, it's kind of purpose driven. That old school hash has, as we're kind
That
of
old
talking
school
about,
hash is still there, kicking about in like places like India and Morocco and stuff like that.
that's
You
the
go
whole
there,
body good high, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
I reckon you'd be able to get some of that stuff if you looked hard enough. Sooner or later, you'd have to be able to find it, and it would be like some really nice stuff, I reckon, if you got lucky, like it. And but like, Ken, you would also be thinking you could also get robbed at the same time and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So if it was just legal worldwide, then it wouldn't be like so many robberies and like tourists getting robbed for drugs and stuff like that. And
So you kind of talked about like edibles being a day record. For me, a good hash could be a day record, man. I mean, when quite quoted me and saying like, "What's been going on?" Being asked, "What's been going on with you?" Oh, I've been in a hash coma. You can a good hash can definitely set you back in a day. At least me, my day. Nice,
well,
good body high. Yeah.
well, when it's like hash, like I think they could even like you control the stone a lot better as well. You know what I mean? Like you can like decrease it because like for weed and that sometimes. You know what I mean? It can vary. You know what I mean? If it's all processed in one bit, then that was then made into edibles and all that. You know what I mean? And it'd be a lot more easier to control like the balances of THC and stuff and all that. You know what I mean?
So it was like the flavor of cannabis was that going from hash to more of a flower later on, less flavor a draw, to flower.
Yeah. I preferred the flower more than the hash because like it was mostly like soap bar and like the bud would be a lot better and all that as well. And it'd be a lot more easier to consume and like use the lighter route sometimes and burn it. You know what I mean? And then have to crumble it and all that. You know what I mean? Then like the weed just got so much better, and over time the weed just got a lot better. A lot more like tidy stuff came about, like cheese and stuff like that. Started to come out a lot more, and a lot more better stuff was coming about. And like all that old society weed just like was there sometimes, but no, it wasn't as bad. But like, I just prefer smoking weed than smoking hash because I don't know, just sometimes hash would give me a wee bit of a sore head sometimes, compared to smoking weed. Like, yeah, and weed would be a lot more stronger. Again, most times hash, again, compared to the bud. Like, yeah.
Do you like to mix the two?
Um, yeah, I've done that before. Like, we got weed and we got hash in the joint. Like, yeah, it's normally quite nice. Like, yeah. What about yourself?
Definitely. Definitely love a good snake in the grass, especially little hash worm in the center of that joint. Any
I mean,
day.
rolled up sausage.
Well, that's yeah, that's the beauty of a joint is that being able to take that, whatever it takes, 20 minutes, half hour through that joint. But if put a good worm in there, man, you can really supersize and stretch out that one joint 45 minutes to an hour if you're hanging out by yourself. Yeah, I
Sounds
like
like a
that.
nice joint. Like, well, that's half an hour. Like, my joint's only lasts about 5 at the most. I just chain smoke it, like, you know what I mean? Some people just hang it there for ages, but yeah, I prefer smoking bongs mostly than joints, like, yeah, because just need to put a wee bit in a bong, like, yeah, compared to like a joint. And I know I'd probably a lot more on a joint than I would put in one bong. It takes about the same time to smoke both of them, you know.
I think I tend to get too fucked up from the joints, though. Just for the fact that I tend to try to finish it. I refuse to put her out halfway. I tend to finish that thing.
Oh, that's the worst. Like, when you have to stop with a joint halfway and go do something, like, yeah. Something happens, like.
Never. See, that's where I guess the beauty of the bowl. You can stop when you kind of, you know what I mean?
No, the bong's very brutal, like, compared to the joint, like, you get halfway through it and all that, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I don't know if I can finish it all, you know what I mean? Sometimes, like, joint's a lot more forgiving, like, you can just puff away and put it down a wee bit, you can.
Yeah, I just keep going with the joint. Used to do 2 at a time at one point.
But smoke one joint and smoke another joint afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I do make 2 at the same time.
I know what you mean. I used to do that with bongs sometimes, smoke one bong and smoke another one like after, like,
So how we doing, guys? You guys want to fire up the weed nerd world, or you guys want to keep rolling?
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself, like, I need to go to the toilet, like, so I was going to say if you want to speak to them before I go.
I'll see you guys in the weed nerd world.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, a couple of things before you go, my friend. First and foremost, thank you for coming on and hanging out and telling me your story. I greatly appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you have earned your right to come hang out in the weed nerd world anytime there is one. The link that we use tonight, well, if you need another one, myself or Truth can pass it on to you for future reference. Anytime there is a weed nerd world, you can come, you hit that link and come hang out anytime you feel like it, my friend.
Man, I appreciate that, man.
The other thing I'd like to get from you, my friend, is a little silly little thing I call the sound bite. Basically, what I'm looking for, my words, my version, would be, hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 795. You can say whatever you want before or after. As long as it's kind of got that in there somewhere, I'd be more than grateful. I do record this portion just because it will be a commercial for this episode at some point, and it saves me some time. So whenever you're ready, my friend, I'm ready.
Thank you very much, Eagle, for having me on this program. 795. I appreciate it very much, mate, and I'll talk to you soon.
Right on.
You got to do the soundbite where you say like, okay, so it's like, oh shit, hey, this is Jai, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 795. You got that?
Correct.
Yeah, but
okay.
That's it, done for you, mate.
Shut up. You gotta do it in your voice.
Oh, they done it for him, like,
Wait, did you say that?
Yeah.
Did you use those exact words though?
Pretty much, like,
You gotta use those. Wait, he's gotta use those exact words, right?
Oh, either way, it'd be nice.
Shit, sorry. Okay, my bad. I mean, if that's good, that's good. Yeah. But all right. Okay, sorry. My bad.
Is that all right, mate?
You guys are funny. Thank you, my friend.
No worries, man.
I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in the weed nerd world myself, hopefully soon. Excuse me. For the rest of you guys, thank you guys for tuning in. I respect your guys' time as well. If you're not going to tune into the Weed Nerd World, well, thank you for your time. Do not forget to do
Always,
something nice for somebody. Brandon Mike's kindness do save lives. With that being said, thank you one last time, Jai. I appreciate you.
Yeah, boys. I
Have a good
appreciate
night.
having me on the show, mate. Have a good night, mate. Catch you later, mate.